Summon Sign is brought to you by you. If you want to learn how to support our show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 46 of Summon Sign, Last Stand Media's weekly in-depth game discussion podcast. I'm your host, as always. Joining me this week, a very special panel. We got the Butler boys. First, we'll start with Dustin Furman. Dustin, greetings. Welcome.
Hello. Thanks, Brad, for having me. I was on and off different points on whether or not I was going to be on this podcast. I was going to be traveling right now. I decided it wasn't a good idea, so I ended up being here. Then there was some chaos in the last hour I'm not even going to get into, but I'm happy to be doing this, and it feels good. This is for Last Stand, 7 o'clock recording time. This is late. This is after hours, basically, for Last Stand. It's got a different feeling to it, and especially for this episode, I am very excited. I've wanted this, but I guess not necessarily Summon Sign, but an episode of this combination of all of us for a long time. So I'm very excited.
Yes. Also, we have Ben Smith joining us. Ben, greetings. How are you, my friend?
I'm okay. I'm well. I'm also excited. I didn't know Dustin was going to be here until about 20 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't know he was going to be here until about 20 minutes ago. So really, Brad, you're the outcast in this episode because the three of us have been podcasting for like 10 years together.
Mm-hmm.
You're new. So sorry, this is your show, but you're the outsider.
Yeah, fuck you, Brad.
Yeah, this is not my show this week. I am the outsider for sure. And I described him, I believe, as an urban legend. You've heard about him you've heard about him if you've been a listener to Last Stand for years. He gets brought up quite frequently, Dustin and Ben. They bring him up. We got Brandon, our good friend. Brandon, I don't even know your last name, actually.
Duncan.
I don't know if I want to do it. What?
That's okay. Duncan.
I
don't know if I want to know, Brandon.
I thought you
That's
said
what it
Duncan.
is, man. I'm going to say it, bro. I'm going to say it. The world's got to know Brandon Duncan is on the podcast. Finally. Thank you, Brad. Thank you for having me. This is a very special episode. I agree with what both Dustin and Ben have been saying. These are my boys, and I care about you deeply, Brad. So this is a great honor, and I feel like I'm very pleased to finally be on this stage. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, if you've been to some of our live shows, you may have seen Brandon working in the merch booth. He's a hard worker, a good man. So we're happy to have him here.
Wow.
Also, Call of Duty savant. Well, Dustin's not too happy to have Brandon here, but
you said he was a good man, and I was like, well, take it easy here.
I was going to say, don't be spewing these lies. People are going to start to expect things from me if they start to think I'm a good person,
right,
Brad.
well,
so I would take it easy.
Everyone here, including me, is just all right or whatever. It's fine.
I will accept that compliment is just all right. That's kind of what I strive to be, is just middle of the road. And then I don't get much expected from me, actually. It's wonderful.
You've done a really good job with that whole middle of the road thing, by the way, for like years now. So congrats on that. Yeah.
It's my secret. It's my secret. I just am as average as I possibly can be, and it works out perfect.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Before we get into the show, though, please check us out on patreon.com/laststandmedia. If you'd like to support us over there, you can get early access to this show and all of our other shows, including Sacred Symbols, our PlayStation podcast, which Dustin is also on, a co-host of, Defining Duke, our Xbox podcast, Punching Up, our Nintendo podcast, which I am now the permanent host of.
Yeah, thanks for kicking me out.
Yeah, Dustin was slacking, so I kicked him out. Enough. He's not talking shit enough on Nintendo like I do. So I'm in control now. And if you want to get some merch, laststandmedia.store, you get some merch over there. Do we still have the stand down stuff going, right? All those are very nice. I like those.
People, the day this comes out for free feeds will be the last day.
Okay, so if you're listening to us on Patreon, which you should be,
dude, I checked the sales on those today. You guys are speaking with the Last Stand shirt, so thank you. Really appreciate it. Yeah,
good stuff. All right, so we got some write-ins before we start. I'm curious about this as well. This is from NeoJD. This was before I didn't put Dustin was going to be on the Patreon thread because we had no idea if he was going to make it or not. So this is for Ben and Brandon. How did you guys meet each other and Dustin? All right, all three of you. How'd you meet? Let's start.
Well, let's do a timeline approach. Yeah, I guess
that was
order.
Yeah.
So, okay, this is where it's a little conflicting because Brandon and I have both different memories of this. Brandon was in my 8th grade math class, and he was a dickhead. Like, just straight up. He was the guy. He was just like the kind of the class clown, kind of like doing as much as he could to annoy the teacher without completely being disrespectful. Like, there was some level of respect, but still wanted to be annoying. But I don't think we really became friends, though, Brandon, until... Was it 9th grade?
Potentially gym class, maybe?
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, and I feel like the night that cemented our friendship was when you spent the night at my house after the show. One of my bands played. But
that was
I've spoken. Brandon, what's your angle on this?
I don't remember much of high school. I think I smoked most of my memory away of high school.
Post high school, right? Like
post high school, and that's the funny part about it is like I had it at one point, and then it just like my brain needed to make room. Like the marijuana just cleared it out. But yeah, I do remember that night. It was really an amazing night. I got to see Dustin perform. Him and my buddy Tyler. We're going to go to Dustin's house. And I had my mom call his mom because that's how my mom was and was like, hey, Dustin, can your mom talk to my mom so I could stay at your house? And your mom's like, okay, I guess. Yeah. And was that the pie night?
Yeah. Because I recall that your mom gave you like way more money than you needed to go to this local $5 show.
Naturally.
So we went to Eaton Park that night and Brandon's like, oh, I have money. I'm ordering an entire pie for us to take home.
So we didn't eat it at the local establishment, but we did take it back and we split the pie, the entire Oreo cream pie in thirds because it was me, Dustin, and our friend Tyler.
I don't think you did. I think Tyler was out at this point. I don't know if he spent the night too, but I remember you cutting the pie in half and then like practically throwing it on my plate and you're like, eat it. I was like, dude, I can't. I think you did it though. I think you ate half the Oreo cream pie.
Honestly, I was a champion that night, but that was the night that kind of like let it all. Seriously, that was the night that kind of christened the friendship at the beginning.
Right.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I mean, you were in my wedding. Yeah. I think Brandon is really my only good friend from high school. Still.
Yeah. Agreed. Many have come and went, but Dustin has been my constant. So I'm very grateful.
We're practically married at this point.
Pretty much. Sorry, Holly. Sorry, Holly.
Yeah. Man.
But then Ben, so Ben has a better memory of how him and I met because Brandon met Ben through me, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's funny because you guys have differing memories of how you met, and Dustin, you and I have differing memories of how we met.
What could the problem be? What is the problem?
Someone's right. Who knows?
If only there was like the same person who was the problem in both instances.
Oh.
Wow.
It'd be amazing. Yeah. But so when I was starting a business in our town and I knew Dustin and Dustin's parents, just like not like super well, but I knew them and we were kind of friendly with each other. And then I thought at one point I had met Dustin, but I don't know if I really had or not. And then I just remember like, I was like, oh, we're at this like little local concert in our town. And I'm like, oh, there's Dustin and Travis. I'm going to go over. I see Dustin's wearing an Apple Watch. I'm going to go over and ask him. I didn't think it was weird because I thought I already knew Dustin. And whether I did or not, neither one of us know. But I walked over and asked him about his Apple Watch because I was considering getting one. I did like the next week too. And then it just through my business really became the way we met. So then Dustin and I and his wife and my wife started hanging out. But I remember the real moment when all three of us started hanging out. At the time, I was doing a history podcast with my cousin, which was actually like we were getting like, it was only audio, but we were getting like 10,000 downloads an episode. And so I was like, I feel like I know something about podcasting. And so like I did some like posting about it online. I think I wrote a little like 15-page thing to sell on Amazon for free. And Dustin one time contacted me. He's like, hey, can Brandon and I come talk to you about podcasting? We want some tips. I was like, sure, whatever. I really just wanted to be able to hang out with them. And they came and they were like, hey, so we need some help getting our podcast off the ground. We have 15 downloads. And I was like, oh. I was like, total? And he's like, yeah, total. And I'm like, oh, okay. So from then we just all like started hanging out. Dustin and I went to PAX together one year.
Yeah, that was like 2016, it's probably 2017 or 18.
We all three built a media empire together.
That's right.
Now it's just a podcast, but so that's the extended lore. And pretty much you guys said you're the only friends you have from high school. I have people I know and still like kind of talk to when I see them, but I don't have anybody I actually hang out with from high school. And I'm just realizing how it sounds out loud. I don't really have any other friends besides you three and me and like Lockmort and a couple other people. Like, I just don't. I moved 45 minutes from where I went to school and no one else did. And no one else is willing to leave the county. So that's it.
I will say two small additions to this. Well, I guess a comment and a question. The comment, first of all, Brandon and I, my very first podcast ever was with Brandon. And when we started, so Handsome Phantom, which still goes today, Brandon is the co-host, Ben is the host, still going strong. But Handsome Phantom started as a podcast called Adventure Mode. That was a extra bedroom so Brandon's apartment right now, it's actually the upstairs apartment, which is now his brother's. That's where it all started, was this extra bedroom that I hung up a bunch of posters in. So it's a long legacy in many different ways. The question I had, Ben, for you, so what was your first impression of Brandon as you got to know him? Just because the three of us have been together on many trips, like we get to learn like Brandon's the type of guy that grabs 2 beers at once because he knows he's going to finish the one very quickly. So he just, things like that. Like, I'm just curious if you have any Brandonisms to share.
My first impression of Brandon? Well, it was funny because before I actually like hung out with him or something, I was like, this guy's a total, which I was fine with. I was like, this guy's a total stoner. And turns out like he, at the time, like he barely even drank.
Right.
It definitely didn't smoke weed. So, that was probably it. And then I don't know. I can't think of any. I mean, I have tons of Brandon stories, too many and some too inappropriate for this podcast. But I don't know. It's always just been fun. There's not been a point in my life in the last dang near 10 years, I'd think, probably 9 years, that I haven't like been like, oh yeah, Brandon and Dustin. Like we've just been friends for that long. And it's hard to even remember when something started or ended. So yeah.
Brandon, don't take this the wrong way. I'll explain why I think this. But when I got to know you, I was like, oh, he reminds me of a dog in a really cool way, in the sense that he's just down to do whatever. He's just stoked to be around. Man. Yeah, this guy is awesome. Like, I don't got to worry about this guy complaining about anything. He's never a hassle or anything. Your hassle is, can I get coffee? And like, that's it. That's like all you need. And it's not a big deal at all. You are the easiest person to do anything with. It's great.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
You really fooled him, don't Brandon?
I know. He doesn't know me at all. No.
Brad wasn't managing when you had to be at the airport, because that's how Brandon changes drastically.
True. Yeah. I'm a bit of a worrywart. We'll just say that. I'm a bit of an anxious fellow. But I play it cool. And as I've gotten older, I've managed it better. But I definitely give off golden retriever vibes at points. And I am just happy to do whatever. I'm kind of a go with the flow kind of guy. That's what I said, middle of the road. When you don't care either way, you just kind of do it. You know what I mean? And it's way more fun that way until it's not. And I'm anxious. And then it's not fun.
Okay. But I do have one story then when we're following up on that. Brandon, whenever we've gone on trips or something, has always been the one like, when should we get to the airport? We need to get to the airport. And it's like, Brandon, our flight doesn't take off till 4 this afternoon. It is currently 9:00 the night before. We don't need to leave yet. And like, we'd get up in the morning and he'd be like, oh, when should we head to the airport? Like that was, and he's better now than he used to be. But there was one trip specifically where our flight wasn't leaving until like, I don't know, 6 p.m. or something. And Dustin and our buddy Phil was with us. And I told them privately, I said, guys, our flight leaves at 6. I'm going to tell Brandon it doesn't leave till 10. So he won't annoy us early. And finally, it got to the point where we were like, okay, let's go to the airport. And he was like, oh, we're going kind of early. And I was like, yeah, our flight leaves in 2 hours. And he's like, what? He's like freaking out about it. I think he called his mom to tell her, like, I'll be home earlier than I thought, because she was picking us up.
Right.
I was like, she already knows too. I already took care of it.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. I love that.
For
That's
the
a great
boys.
story.
For the boys.
Yeah, that's so good. I love that. Let's see here. We got a question from Nevitz. Hello, tenderized turkeys. I was wondering if any of you like eggnog during this season. I love getting the non-alcoholic version from the store, but my favorite brands have disappeared, and finding replacements is hard. I love a smooth, rich, creamy eggnog in a thin shot glass with freshly grated nutmeg on top. Cheers, boys. All right. Eggnog. Are you guys into it?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think Ben and I, this is one of the major rifts, actually. We're talking about friendship, but Ben and I have a major rift here.
This is probably the biggest argument we've ever had.
I'm a firm believer that you have to wait until Black Friday, like actual Christmas season. And then you're quite the opposite, right?
Yeah, it's funny because with everything else, holiday, Christmas related, I'm like, just wait, guys. Come on, you can wait to turn on the Christmas music. With eggnog, I'm like, as soon as it's available. Why is it not available year round? Just drink it. And I'll drink it by the pint. I don't need none of this 3 ounces garbage. It's really bad for you, but man,
it's so bad.
I will drink literally like a pint glass, not multiple, but like a pint glass at a time, a day.
Yeah. All eggnog is not created equal. I will say I do not like it as much as the boys that have already talked about it. I like a nice, not a shot glass, but maybe like a medium-sized glass, and I'm good for maybe 1 or 2 of those a season. So I do enjoy it, but it's not something that I like necessarily seek out.
Right.
When it's around, I'll have it. The Southern Comfort kind is actually pretty good. The Southern Comfort, you can get it at Walmart. That's the ticket. We have a local place around here called Marburger. They make like legendary chocolate milk. It's in a place called Evans City, right outside of Butler. And their eggnog sucks ass. And a lot of other ones I've tried suck bad. But the Southern Comfort is kind of the most commercial, maybe, but it's quality. It's very high quality.
And it is non-alcoholic when you buy it in the store.
Right.
Like it's, even though it's Southern Comfort brand, I think they want you to buy it and mix it in yourself.
Right.
But
right.
What kind of alcohol do they put in it?
Isn't it traditionally? I think it's brandy. Is that right?
And rum.
I just
rum?
put
rum in it.
I just put Fireball, probably.
Oh no!
I just put Fireball, probably. Yeah.
Dude, a lot of people have criticized me for this, but I like eggnog. I like it with alcohol, and I like alcohol. It's not that I don't like alcohol. I like alcohol, but I like eggnog by itself. Probably a little bit better than I like eggnog with liquor in it.
Yeah. I'm the same.
Yeah, that's fair. I get it. I hate eggnog. It's fucking gross. I don't want to.
Yo,
remember when we said this isn't your show anymore?
It's not your show. What about it? Don't you like, Brad?
Out.
I don't know. It just tastes like shit.
That's because you have your equivalent of the Marburger Farm eggnog, and that's all you've had. Have you had the Southern Comfort?
No.
Buy it.
This is the year to make a change. Try it.
I'll send you $5, Brad.
If I try it and I hate it, I'm gonna put a hex on all 3 of you.
Oh,
okay. I'm real worried about a hex, Brad. You go ahead and do that as long as you try the eggnog.
I don't know. That sounds scary. I kind of am okay that he doesn't try it now.
Just kidding. No. Maybe I'll consider it. No one in my family is really into eggnog, so it's not really around very often. But I don't know. Maybe I'll figure it out. My brother's coming to visit with his kids this Christmas, so maybe we'll get a little extreme this holiday. I don't know. We'll see.
Brad, that's perfect. A nice, creamy, luxurious drink for your guest is what every guest requires in a fancy scenario. Okay.
Yeah,
no one in my family.
With your bro.
Yeah.
Us bros love to keep it creamy.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right. This is from Jared R. Hey, Summon Crew. This is a warm-up question for you. I was visiting my family this weekend, and my siblings were watching the new iCarly reboot. It was strange, as the cast were adults now, and while the format was the same, they were cursing, doing drugs, and talking about threesomes. While I admit it was a little cringe, it was also kind of fun seeing something from my childhood having grown up now. So my question is, what's a childhood game or franchise you'd like to see grow up and totally change? When I think of this question, my mind goes to humongous entertainment point-and-click adventure games like Putt Putt and Pajama Sam. I'd love to see Sam as an adult struggling with disconnective identity disorder and believing he's really a superhero or putt-putt in some sort of Mad Max situation. Can't hear what you guys come up with. All right. What childhood thing, very kid thing do we like that we're ready to just ramp up to be an adult thing now?
Wow.
First of all, hold on. iCarly, they're talking about doing drugs and threesomes? What is this? Is this on Nickelodeon?
I would say it can't be, right?
Hold on. I gotta look this up, dude. But
Well, I'll go first. I would
go
love.
first.
I was a big fan of Crash Bandicoot, not nearly as big as Ben, but I would love to see a later life Crash Bandicoot, where Neocortex is like addicted to methamphetamines. He has lost all of his teeth. Coco is out on the streets. The tiger is skinned and she's wearing it. That's how the tiger is skinned and she's wearing it. And Crash was severely diabetic and lost one of his limbs, so he can no longer jump from, for the pears, for the peaches. So I'd like to see something like that.
Fruit, idiot.
The Wampa fruit. I know. I'm sorry, Ben. I didn't mean to disrespect. Aku is doing completely fine. He's actually on the up and up. He's a multimillionaire, mogul, tech savant. Kind of an unexpected twist for the entire series. But yeah, I would love to see a more realistic, more gritty version of Crash Bandicoot. And I think that's kind of where I stand right now.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. Ben, what about you, man?
Yeah, so Brandon took mine, and I mean, he added a little more color to it than I was planning on. I don't know, like, I was going to say something as like a joke or something, but the reason I have fond memories of the old franchises, this is like the real answer. The reason I have fond memories of these old franchises is because of what they were when they were that. Mm-hmm. And so for anything to change that, drastically, obviously not as much as Brandon was pretending, but it just feels like it would bastardize it to the point that I don't want it back. I'm all about like series growing. I mean, look at God of War. Yeah, I mean, sure, it's an entirely different, honestly, it's like a different Kratos, but the way that they grew up that character was really cool. Some people don't like it. Some people love it. I personally love it. I think something like that was cool, but I can't really think of like what's something I liked when I was a kid that I want to be more grown up now. I can't think of a gaming equivalent I want that's equivalent to iCarly doing drugs, doing meth off of or somebody's back. I can't think of it.
What about like Dora and Boots got sent to the Cincinnati Zoo and a child fell into the enclosure and they had to kill it. They had to kill Boots.
I thought you meant they had to kill a child.
No. Boots from saving the child. Swiper is in solitary confinement. Nothing.
I'm just thinking like anything I've ever seen. Like when they did Rugrats all grown up, I was like, this sucks.
Yeah,
I don't want this.
Yeah,
like, keep their babies. Keep them babies.
Right. Brandon, do you think that in this new Dora reboot, like surely she gets deported, right?
Oh yeah,
deported.
Naturally,
she's with the Mexican drug cartel,
She's like accidentally become a mule.
She's like licking it off the knife, like this is pure. This is so pure. Can you say cocaine?
I don't think I've ever seen 1 minute of Dora other than in memes. Really.
Yeah. I think it's a little after my time even, but I remember seeing it around. But I really like the pull here from Jared about the Humongous Entertainment games because I was super into those. Of course, Pajama Sam he brings up. I was thinking because there's another character in this universe named Spy Fox, and I was thinking about him being on hard times. Like the game opens up, he's like in a bed, he's got 6 other lady foxes around him. He like gets up, does like a big line of cocaine or whatever, and he's like, then the phone rings and they're like, Spy Fox, we need you for one last mission, and he's like, he like lights up a cig and he's like, all right, I'll do it.
Yeah,
I could see something like that.
Yeah, that'd be great. For me, Animal Crossing. All right, let me paint the picture for you. You're in your town, okay? But instead of just, random villagers, they can get evicted by Tom Nook. Perhaps they can be homeless. You can plant drugs instead of just like an apple tree. You can start a marijuana farm if you want.
Okay.
One of your neighbors, like their personalities, they could be a drunk or something like that. They could barf everywhere. You could have a drug addict neighbor. A little more realistic Animal Crossing.
Tom Nook can't see the kids anymore after this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dude, when you said plant drugs...
He's a registered offender.
Yeah.
He has to...
It's like, what'd you expect from a guy with the last name Nook? I mean...
Right. He's still a bit of a bookie, but like there's a school built in the town now, and he has to be on the other side of the island. Like he can't get too close to it.
Yeah. With Timmy and Tommy, one of them's dead. OD.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Needle in the arm.
Brad, when you said plant drugs, I was thinking like you could plant drugs in a villager's home and then
frame them.
I don't want Hornsby around here anymore. So you like get the crack cocaine,
right?
Dusted on his shit, and then you're like calling up the police. You know,
that'd be great. Actually,
go fucking Ronald Reagan on him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, there's so much potential they could do there.
Yeah.
So much good stuff. All right. Let's talk about Call of Duty. We've been playing a lot of Call of Duty, boys. A lot. Let me start with this question first. Greetings, B3. What are your thoughts on Black Ops 6's campaign structure? Going from a covert stealth mission with to an open world Ubisoft style mission. Is that a spoiler?
Well, we hit it at the... I'll write a spoiler here. We're good.
Okay. To be thrown into a zombie horror movie, to then planning a bank heist. Each mission felt so unique and fresh from the last. It's flipped my expectations from what a Call of Duty campaign can be moving forward. Now, I haven't played any of the campaign. Dustin, I believe you haven't played any either. But Brandon, you've played a bit. Ben, you've played a bit. We'll start with the campaign before we get into multiplayer and all that kind of stuff. What are your guys' general thoughts about the campaign so far? What you've played? It's okay if you haven't finished it. Brandon, let's start with you.
Yeah, no, Meatball kind of hit it on the head here. It's a very dynamic campaign, and I think that's what's kind of cool about it. At every turn, it feels like an action movie, and it almost feels like an action movie that is like 3 in 1. It's very Ocean's 11. It's very like creepy horror movie, like MK Ultra, mind wiping type shit, which is pretty standard for a Black Ops campaign. But I like that they kind of have a nice deviation. Like I just get done assassinating someone in a tower. Right. And then I jump into the water from a roof and I get into a van and I hear 90s music playing. And then 2 missions later, I'm killing zombies. It's like it's so cool on so many different levels. And I don't think it necessarily reinvents the wheel of what these games have been before, but I think it does it in like a really solid way. And it kind of changes the pacing from being just like a standard modern gameplay, which we've had for a while now, or we've had just a standard World War II campaign. So this kind of breaks it up in a way that I think is really fresh. Maybe not completely fresh for the series, but refreshing because it's not what it's been in a while. And it's done really well. And I think that's kind of the mark that I like about this campaign so much is that it's not necessarily the newest thing, but it's done well and it's interesting. And I think that's kind of the sticking point for me.
Yeah. Ben, what do you think about it so far?
Yeah, so I'm literally on the last half of the last mission. I didn't get to finish it before. I had some stuff come up today. I didn't get to finish it before I was on the show, but I would agree with a lot of that. I would agree with what Meatball says. I think it's so much different than other Call of Duty campaigns. I mean, we've had stuff that's similar. You know, you don't see a lot of variance though across the different campaigns. With the thing you have about this campaign is that the missions are so much different from each other. They're not just that they're different from other Call of Duty, which they are. I feel like they're so much different from each other. You know, as Brandon mentioned, you're doing so many different things. You know, you have ones where you need to focus on sniping, and you have ones where you need to focus on just running and gunning, and you have other stuff. But like you literally have a stealth mission where you can complete the entire mission in a Call of Duty game without firing your gun a single time. You have other ones that are just entirely puzzle based and puzzle related, and there are zombies in the main missions, or not main missions, but in a mission. You've got the totally trippy dream sequence, all that kind of stuff. So I think that's cool. The other piece is that there's some open worldness in this one that you can choose to do a lot or a little in if you prefer to. As I mentioned, there's stealth, which you can choose to do the stealth or not do the stealth. There's also a whole upgrade system, which I think we've had little pieces of this, but this is definitely the most robust one, where you have like a main base that you go back to in between missions, and you can upgrade everything from like, how much damage do your guns do, to how much damage do you take, to does your slide work better, and when you come out of a slide, can you perform this action? So there's a lot of different stuff that is pretty cool, and you can upgrade your base only a very minimal amount. It's like the least amount of base building they could do and still say it was base building is really what it is.
Okay.
But it's satisfying enough for a Call of Duty campaign. And of course, I've seen people say like this is maybe the best Call of Duty campaign ever. And is that true? I've played most of the Call of Duty campaigns over the years. The early Call of Duty campaigns were amazing, but then again, that was 20 years ago, so it's hard for me to actually compare what they were like to this one. But the Call of Duty campaign in Black Ops 6 is a very good Call of Duty campaign, but I think that's where I'll leave it. I don't think it's a good, like, if I bought this video game for the campaign, I'd be like, okay, I was satisfied, but I don't know that was really that good. It didn't do anything groundbreaking. It does a lot of stuff that's different for Call of Duty, but for video games in general, it's pretty standard fare, if not a little less than standard fare. So I'm enjoying it, and I'm literally, I think I have 20 minutes left in the whole thing. Probably have spent about 8 or 9 hours, and a little bit of that is because I literally 100%ed everything I could. I'll probably even, there's a couple weapons I want to unlock that I'll probably go back and do some challenges for to unlock the skins for multiplayer. But yeah, overall, I think it's solid. If people buy this game for the campaign because they're hearing all the hype, I just want to prepare people. Like, it's a good Call of Duty campaign. It's not a great campaign in general.
Yeah. Honestly, for me, it's almost like the Fast and the Furious of at least the first couple, right? Like, it's a super solid, super fun experience, but like, I don't know that it is like impactful in many more ways than being like really fun and really actiony and really dynamic. I do want to touch back on one thing that you said, Ben, that I had completely forgot about the open world section for a minute, at least based off of last year's, because last year's was completely open world. I abstained from playing it purposely because I feel like it was kind of a cash grab. But this is a completely different thing. So I'm really glad they built on the open worldness, because that wasn't necessarily my complaint last year, was that it was an open world, is that it was more of a tacked on DMZ add-on and less of a story. This open world felt very purposeful. It felt very intentional and was actually a nice addition. They've had small open world things before, and last year's was kind of a blunder, but this was definitely a much more upgraded version of that.
You kind of talked about how you think it's an okay campaign in grand scheme of things. Good campaign for Call of Duty. What do you think it could do better, I guess? What do you think? I guess there's probably nice moments in the game where you're like, yeah, this works more. This doesn't work so much. What do you think is working and they should focus on in the future?
I don't know. I guess I want to start off with the premise of, do they need to do anything more? Right. I don't think they need to, because it's not the reason people buy Call of Duty. I'm sure there are some people who buy it for the campaign, but overall, I think this is probably like I said, it's a great campaign for Call of Duty. Mm-hmm. It's actually very enjoyable. And the fact that I get it in addition to the multiplayer I bought the game for is a nice perk. Used to it was we bought games for the campaigns, and then there was like a tacked on multiplayer mode that was just okay. This is the opposite. It's a great multiplayer, which we'll talk about, and the campaign is just okay. I'm having fun with it. It's not that I'm not, but I think the thing that they've done well in this is just making it so varied. You don't always want that in a game, but you also don't want it to be repetitive. So I think the fact that there are so many different things to do and explore, and that you can do stealth, or you can do open world, or you can, upgrade your base to some extent. I think just having that varied, nature of the game is a huge step in the right direction, if not the entire right direction for a Call of Duty campaign.
Right. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm mostly in agreement with you, Ben. I think that it doesn't need to be much more than it is, and I don't think that necessarily takes away from it. The only thing that I could see it being any better if there was like more solid character development, because I think of campaigns, first-person shooter campaigns like Titanfall 2, and I think of how emotional and interesting some of the characters could be in those type of games, and how often first-person shooters don't have that element of like, aside from it just being fun, it's like emotional and dynamic, and the characters are more meaningful. In a Call of Duty campaign, you're not necessarily buying it for that reason, but honestly, I wouldn't mind if there were more interesting characters aside from, this guy's a badass who survived all of these things in these previous games, and this person is your leader, and he's cool, and he rides a dirt bike through a bunch of people and shoots them. So that's the only improvement I could see, but I don't necessarily think Call of Duty needs that. But just to offer any critique of it at all, I think the characters could probably be more dynamic and more like emotional, I guess, if that makes sense. Or like
very cheesily written.
Sure, exactly. And it's, once again, it's like an action movie, and that's fine. But that's my only critique of it. I think it would be a better game, but also I don't think Activision needs their campaigns to go in that direction, because that's not where they're making their money anyway. So that's like a loose critique, but it doesn't even really make a lot of sense. So
yeah, I don't even know if they really even need a campaign anyways, kind of thing. Like, I think the ones I played, I thought happy I played them, but seems like the vast majority of people don't even finish them, I assume. Maybe they'll try them for a little bit, but it would feel weird, I guess, if you don't get it. Because one of them didn't have a campaign.
Yeah, one of them didn't have a campaign, and I don't think it hurt sales at all.
Something Black Ops 4?
Yeah, I think something like that.
Yeah, I think it was Black Ops 4.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, Call of Duty is such like a big package, what you get. You know, you get the multiplayer, which is robust, or the versus or whatever, and you get zombies, which has also got its whole separate progression kind of thing. In the campaign, it's kind of crazy what you get and how they can pump these out every year. I know that people in the Call of Duty minds slaving away, but it's impressive, man. Especially for how like decent the campaign is in the grand scheme of things. I don't know. Do you guys know who did this campaign? Is it Raven, maybe?
It's Treyarch and Raven. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Treyarch and Raven. And I think something that's notable about this one specifically, Brad, is that they had extra development time. I think,
okay.
Yeah, and I think that really, so for many years, it was Infinity Ward and Treyarch, and it was kind of like back and forth, right? And then they introduced a third studio, Sledgehammer, which gave them an additional year of development time. And even with that additional year, we were still seeing the campaigns kind of stagnate. This is the first one that had close to, I think, a 4-year development time. This will be the 4th year, I think, if I'm remembering it correctly. Someone will correct me in Discord if I'm wrong. But I think that's kind of the reason we're getting some of the positiveness. Usually these things are so fickle. It's like everyone's so excited about it. It's like the Call of Duty honeymoon phase. But like, looking at it objectively, like I think that does have a large part in why this one is standing out and has some extra features and some extra love in it, is because, shocker, more development time means better game. Who would have thought? And they've
also added all the, I mean, I don't think this is good for the industry, but I think it's good for Call of Duty, that all of those other studios that are like, support studios, they're basically, like you said, you said they were the Call of Duty minds. That really is what's happening. You've got so many of these support studios and stuff, and it sucks that they're not able to work on other things. But as far as Call of Duty, it's amazing, because you can tell that this one is more fleshed out than it's probably a little more fleshed out than anything since Modern Warfare 2019. Which I know a lot of people have issues with certain aspects of it. I think it's a phenomenal Call of Duty.
Me too.
And this one's probably the best since then. And, it's arguable about before that, but you can tell that there's a lot of man hours in this game, which...
Yeah. Dustin, are you going to play this campaign?
I played the intro and first mission last night. And I'm really curious about where it goes from here, because the first real mission is more of a stealth mission, which you don't have to play that way. But hearing about some of the things later on in the campaign makes me more intrigued to go in, because my take was, okay, this is pretty standard Call of Duty campaign fare. Obviously, you have like the hub. You have like this little like cabin that you hang out in, and that's where you do your upgrades and stuff like that, which I haven't really even touched on that. But I want to play more of it, just because I think that it is good for Call of Duty to have it in there. I think just because I have this thing where it's like, I don't know, I guess now they sell games that are multiplayer only all the time, but I, growing up, would always play the campaigns and always enjoyed them. And so it's like, I kind of want it to be there from a nostalgic standpoint, I guess. And especially seeing like last year, Modern Warfare 3, it's like, dude, don't just rush something with reused map assets from Warzone. And even too, the maps were just, in Modern Warfare 3, they were just remade maps from previous games, right? So I'm happy to see this one be really good. I want to play more of it, just to see some of the crazy stuff that happens. And I'm just happy that Call of Duty is really good this year, just because last year was not. I mean, I was with Brandon. I totally skipped Modern Warfare 3, and then what was before that?
Modern Warfare 2.
Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah.
Which was, I mean, we played a ton of it, but I can clearly tell this one is way better than Modern Warfare 2.
Cool. All right, let's talk about zombies a little bit. How much have you guys dug into this, Brandon and Ben?
Quite a bit.
You know how much.
I don't know how much. I've only done one round of it.
Yeah. I think I've only played it a couple times because it's a good problem to have. Every night when we're playing, there's always too many of us to be able to get around the zombies going. So I've only got to play 2 rounds so far, which was I got to level 20 on one and we had to leave, and then somebody had to leave, and 30 on another, and again somebody needed to dip out to go to bed or something. So yeah, that's all the more I've got to play of it, but I think it's very solid for sure.
Brandon, what do you think about it?
Yeah, no, I think that this is a really nice return to form for zombies. I think that over the years, they've really tried to introduce new things to zombies, and it's never quite stuck the way the traditional round base has. I think in Modern Warfare 3, they had some sort of open world zombie bullshit that nobody really liked. So I'm glad to see that they're kind of going back. I even liked things like Cold War zombies. I thought was great as well. And I know I think I'm kind of in the minority there, but a lot of the stuff that was built in Cold War, which was Treyarch's last game, they've directly implemented into this one. So I like it. There's 2 separate maps. The one feels a little bit more closer and like an intimate experience. It's in a town, and there's a lot of Easter eggs as usual. That's kind of a thing in zombies, is to kind of essentially do puzzles throughout to kind of unlock special abilities, unlock special guns. And I'm glad to see that they've done that. They also have continued to add, and they've done this throughout the years too, like different enemy types, like bigger boss type enemies and stuff that kind of come in. I've experimented a little bit less with the other game mode that's not in the town. I can't remember what it's called, but that one seems way more vast, and I think can have up to 6 people, maybe. I think I saw a challenge for that. I'd have to check. I'm going to sound like an idiot if I'm wrong, but I think it might be able to have more people. But that one's even cooler even yet. Not only is that one filled with Easter eggs, but there's like entire boss fights at the end. Like not just mini bosses, like a huge boss that I've seen streamers fight. So yeah, and it's got all the classic things you like. It has the ray gun, it has the wonder weapons, and it has Pack-a-Punch. So yeah, that's really all I can ask for in the experience. I have hundreds of hours on zombies throughout many, many years, and it's cool, man. It just offers a different feel to the whole game, and you just sit there and pop heads for a while. So it's fun, man, dude. It's super fun. I want to play it some more. We got to get some groups together and kind of like figure out all the Easter eggs, because it is filled with secrets. Truly filled like with very complex secrets at points, maybe too complex at points, but it's really cool that they kind of didn't skimp out on this. I feel like every section of this game is like fully realized, and that kind of shines through even in zombies. So
yeah. Dustin, I forgot, have you played zombies yet?
I played 1 round with Ben and our friend Justin, who we play with a lot. And man, I haven't played zombies in so many years. I was so lost. I'm like, is this bubble gum? What is it called? Gobble gum?
Gobbledygook something. Yeah.
And I was like, dude. And then I'm like, you upgrade your weapons, but there's also Pack-a-Punch. I'm like, what's the difference between these? Yeah. And then there's this RoboCop looking zombie coming after me. It was a great time, and it's a great way to level up certain weapons too. If you want to do that for multiplayer. But I want to play more for sure. But as Ben was saying, when you hop on, we always have more than the amount, which is totally fine, because I'd rather play with a big group with the boys. But I want to play more zombies too.
Yeah.
I like the fact that there are upgrades that are consistent through it. I haven't really got to experiment with that a whole lot, but I mean, that's not new to zombies necessarily. But just the fact that there are things you can upgrade that stick with you for the next time you play zombies, and some things that even carry over to the main multiplayer.
Yeah, let's talk about the multiplayer. Actually, that's what we spend most of our time doing. Brandon, let's start with you. you're a big Call of Duty fan. You've played a tons of multiplayer over the years. How are you feeling about this iteration?
Can we get history, Brandon, of how, like, I want you to share your numbers in MW2 is what I'm really asking.
Oh shit, yeah. MW2 is my shit. Like that was like the first. I had games before that, but that was like mine. I had the Modern Warfare 2 Xbox 360 AC-130 edition, and that was my shit. I have like a little bit shy of a month's playtime on that game alone, and I have many 300 hours on all the ones since, except for Modern Warfare 3. But yeah, man, it's great. I always said that, you know, Infinity Ward and Treyarch games play slightly different, and I never really felt that out too much until Cold War. I remember when Cold War came out, I was playing the game after I just got done playing last year's game, and I was like, why do I suck so bad at this? And they just feel different. Like I don't know how to describe it, but they play slightly different. TTK is slightly different. The weapons handle a little bit different. The game looks different. So I'm really glad, having been off the back of Cold War, which is one that I did play hundreds of hours of, that this feels a lot like that. I feel like they really directly grew on that, and they took a lot of the feedback that they got from the beta. So yeah, I'm really pleased with it, honestly. There's a couple additions, obviously like Omni Movement. I talked a little bit about this on our show, but I think that Omni Movement is great. I don't think it necessarily changes the gameplay that fundamentally, though. I feel like people for a while now have been complaining about things like slide canceling and movement, and saying that there's this skill ceiling that's unnecessary. I think that that's still there, and I don't agree that it's unnecessary. I think it's a fun part of the game that you can also master. I think Omni Movement just like moves it to the side slightly and maybe very slightly up. I don't think it's that much different, but it is a very, very cool addition to the entire series. So yeah, I think that the maps are probably like one of the weaker points of this game for me. I feel like some of them I think are excellent. I think are some of the best in a couple years, actually. But some of them I'm kind of like middling on. I know a lot of people, that's like a common sentiment on the internet, is that it's at least the loudest people are saying that they don't like any of the maps. And I see screenshots on Reddit that has all 12 people voted for classified map, which means they don't want to play either one of the ones on the rotation. But like, I don't know. I think some of them are pretty good. And I'm really glad to see that Classic Prestige has come back. That's huge for me. The past couple have had this weird prestige system where prestiging just kind of gives you an emblem and doesn't really do a whole lot else for you. So I'm really glad to see that they kind of went back to a format where like there is kind of a negative to it, because it's cool. It's like you're getting new things. And they even build upon that even more, to where each prestige you get rewards throughout that prestige. So after first prestige, it's like level 20, you get something, level 30, you get something, level 40, and then level 50, you get something. So aside from just an emblem, it is cool to have more things.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I actually prestiged also. I think this is the first time I've ever prestiged in a Call of Duty game, like ever. So I have no idea what's going on. But I think you get, like, one of the things you get is like a new skin or something like that. I think that's a really cool idea. I really like that. Like the idea of prestiging to get these even like more exclusive rewards. I think that's great. Do you guys know how many levels there are to it?
So I believe I believe each prestige has 55 levels, and then there's 10 prestiges, I believe.
Oh, wow.
So, and then after that, you're at Prestige Master. So yeah, this is great. They've returned a lot of things back to the way they were. In Modern Warfare 2, they had different camo challenges that I found to be quite annoying, and they've kind of went back to the classic headshots, which I think is huge. I really struggled with some of the ones in Modern Warfare 2, like the long shots, because I didn't want to have to play a specific way. Like if it's get a kill after sprinting, fine, I can do that anytime. But I would like have to set myself up on these massive maps on purpose to try and get a long shot with an assault rifle or a marksman rifle that had to be, 80 meters. So I had to sit in one spot the entire time at 80 meters and hope that somebody walked in front of me to kind of efficiently grind these camos. And that's one of the biggest sticking points to me. Is a lot of the fun I have in these games is camo grinding. So I'm really pleased with it in general. It looks great. It plays great. I am playing it on PC, which is kind of a new thing for me this year.
Ooh.
I
You played the last one. You played Modern Warfare 2 on PC.
Is a newer thing for me.
Yeah.
I guess let's say that. So, really happy to be on mouse and keyboard and not aim assist scum. And the last thing I'll say, because I'm being kind of long-winded about it, but
No, it's fine.
They did nerf. I've seen extensive testing. They did nerf slightly aim assist on controller, which I think has been needed for a couple years now. And it's a small nerf. I've seen very extensive testing online to actually look at the meterage at which it's lower than previous games. And it really only has less of an advantage when you're very close to people. And I think that's, as someone who does play on mouse and keyboard now with no aim assist, I'm very grateful for that, because even if you look at something like the Call of Duty League scene, right? How many people on Call of Duty League play on mouse and keyboard anymore? I think the answer might be close to zero, if not zero. Someone can verify that, but almost everybody. It used to be everybody was on mouse and keyboard, and now next to nobody is. So I feel like that was kind of telling to me, and I'm glad to see that they kind of, I don't know, they really thought about it this year, and it wasn't just something they shit out.
It is funny just because when it cross play first started to happen, the worry was from controller players like, oh, we're going to get destroyed by mouse and keyboard players. And then eventually with Call of Duty, it kind of became quite the opposite, that we're every night in Modern Warfare 2 bitching like, oh, look at the aim assist on this kill cam. Look at this bullshit. But yeah, I'm glad that they've fixed that.
Yeah, definitely. Ben, we've played a lot of the campaign, or I'm sorry, the multiplayer together, actually. Mm-hmm. How are you feeling about the multiplayer?
I'm really enjoying it. I mean, I think that I have a little bit of fatigue starting to set in just because we haven't seen many new maps yet. But that's only because I've played a butt ton. I'm like a couple levels away from my 3rd prestige now. And well, talking about the prestige system, I agree with pretty much everything Brandon said. The one thing that I think I know they've done before, is that you have permanent unlocks now too. And so you can, every time you prestige, you get a token to permanently unlock something. And when you permanently unlock it, that means you get it from the start. You don't have to wait till you're level 30 or whatever on your next round to get it. And then any guns that you already have leveled up. Let's say there's a gun you don't unlock till level 30, but you get it to max level before you prestige. As soon as you hit level 30 again, that gun is immediately already max level if you've max leveled it already. So that's really nice because, and I don't know if you feel this too, Brandon, or not, but it feels like the leveling system for the guns is slightly slower. Maybe not a lot, but slightly slower than it used to be. It's much more of a grind now to fully level those guns than it used to be. And maybe that could just be my perception. I'm getting older now. I'm not as good as I used to be, but it certainly has, I can tell a difference already. I really like the prestige system, as you guys were talking about. And it is funny, Brad, because you were like, I think it was last night or night before, you were like, wow, this is the first time I've ever played a game long enough, played a Call of Duty game enough to prestige in it. So that was cool to be able to witness your icon changing in front of my eyes to no longer being a noob.
Yeah.
The thing that in the beta, and I think I talked about the beta on the show at one point, the big thing that I was really concerned about was the aim assist seemed very strong to me during the beta. And I don't know if they actually changed it or if I just got over it, but it definitely seems like there's a difference. And it is, Dustin's talking about that fear from controller people that mouse people are going to be, and there's always that debate. Well, if you don't like aim assist, just play on controller if it's that easy. And then there's the keyboard and mouse people saying, the aim assist is so strong, I can't compete with it. As someone who has primarily played mouse and keyboard for the last 5 Call of Duties, if you've never played mouse and keyboard, you can't understand what it feels like to know someone shoot you and that it was aim assist. Like to actually be able to pick that up and know it. Obviously, yeah, there's some precision and everything with mouse and keyboard, but it feels different, even feels different because you die so much quicker and you die from the first shot you're getting hit rather than them having to find their spot on you. So that's a big thing. I like all the different modes they're bringing in. They always cycle in different modes, and we should be getting some more new maps soon. Just the fact that, used to you'd have a mode pop in, let's say Nuketown 24/7. You'd have pop in and it'd be in there for a week and they'd cycle it out. This time it's been in there a little bit longer. And if you want to play Nuketown nonstop on hardcore, you can do that. And if you don't want to, you don't have to. Used to, it seemed like, oh, there's only 2 or 3 different modes here I can choose from. And right now, I think there's like 6 or 7, in addition to all the different game types within each mode as well. So that's been nice. And I think the Omni movement, the piece I have to say about that is that I still notice the Omni movement. I use the Omni movement to some extent, but it has not significant. It's a cool feature. As Brandon mentioned, it shifts the skill ceiling. It doesn't necessarily change it. It shifts it to a different type of skill. But what I've noticed is it's not negatively impacting the way I'm playing. I'm never thinking like, oh, I died because of Omni movement. And the few times I do use Omni movement, I do jump to the side or whatever, I noticed that it did help me, but I still died shortly after that, So it's a cool addition, and it changes the way you can play the game. It definitely adds some twists and turns, but I don't think it's had as much of an impact as we thought it was going to have before the game actually came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying that as a positive, because I thought it was going to be like, how am I ever going to shoot anybody if they're just hitting the button and flipping to the other side of the room?
Right.
It's definitely not that. So that's been cool. I've had so much fun playing. And the thing I enjoy about Call of Duty multiplayer so much is that generally when I'm playing Call of Duty multiplayer, it's with the boys.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I like to compete. I like to be good. I strive to be in the top half of the leaderboard. But ultimately, even if I'm doing poorly, it's a game you can just turn your brain off and just hang out. And that's what multiplayer video games should be like to me. I mean, even though I've loved Call of Duty for decades, I've shit on it to no end, but I've always loved it still.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that sense of camaraderie and getting to play and hang out with people that you share interest with. That's always what Call of Duty is going to be to me, even if it's great like this entry or if it's terrible. That's the real reason I buy a Call of Duty every year.
Yeah, Call of Duty is so easy to play with all your friends. You can play on any platform you want. And also it's on Game Pass now, which is where I'm playing it. And I think, Dustin, you have Game Pass for it, right, as well?
Nope.
Oh, no, you bought it?
I bought it on Steam. Yeah.
Okay. But it's just awesome.
You're the only Xbox shell here, apparently.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't want to pay. I don't want to give Phil full price, all right? But it's...
Does that mean once a month has passed, you're done playing with us?
No, I'll go 2 months. Because Indiana Jones comes out next month. So I'll play that as well. So I'll just hold on to it.
Yeah.
So I'll get a couple months out of it. And that's fine with me. Dustin, how are you feeling about the multiplayer?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. Like we've said earlier, I didn't play it all last year, but I did play a lot of Modern Warfare 2. And I think one of the big things, and correct me if I'm wrong about this, if I'm misremembering, but there was a system in Modern Warfare 2 where you could only unlock certain attachments through certain guns.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, I really like this optic. Well, it's only on this gun. So you got to level up this gun in order to use it on a different gun.
Yeah.
And that system drove me insane because it's like, dude, this gun might work for someone else and someone else's playstyle. That's great. It doesn't work for me. I just want this one thing. And you're forcing me to use something I don't want to use. That's totally gone in this game. Wait,
it does still exist with optics.
With optics, it does?
There are a few optics that you can't unlock on any. You have to unlock with certain guns, but it's like level 5 with that gun. It's nothing. It's nothing insane.
And it's only optics.
Yeah, it's only optics. Yeah.
I thought that might have been the case because there was one gun that I was like, whoa, I already have all these optics. Is there something weird? But okay, the fact that it's level 5, that's actually not too bad because it's like, okay, try the gun out.
Yeah.
Play it for a few matches and you'll get it, right? Especially on a double XP weekend or something, you'd be totally fine. So I really like that change. The other thing that I was noticing was when I started, I traditionally play with SMGs. And I was like, man, I'm trying to use the C9. I'm not doing as well as I would like to be doing. Let me try out an assault rifle. So I was like, okay, let's just start with the first one, the XM4, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, whoa, this feels less cumbersome than I remember assault rifles feeling in the past. Maybe that's just my memory. Maybe it's not true. But either way, I was like, awesome. I feel way more comfortable using assault rifles. And so that's primarily what I've been using this Call of Duty. In addition to, and I don't know if this is a PC thing as well, I'm having a lot more fun with the sniper rifles in this game as well. I tend to be either I have a match where I'm like, man, I could snipe all day, every day and have an amazing KD. And then there's other matches where you play for 2 minutes. You're like, nope, this isn't it. You got to switch out. Right.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm level 52 or something right now. So I'm pretty close to my first prestige. I haven't played quite as many hours as Ben and Brandon yet, but I'm always cautious about prestiging just because I'm a basic bitch and I'm like, oh no, I don't want to lose everything. But the fact that your guns stay leveled up is huge. And then there's the unlock token, which I don't think that's a new thing, right?
No.
Yeah, where you can, once you prestige, you can choose to have one item permanently unlocked, no matter at what point of your prestige. So that's pretty cool.
Everybody out there, your first permanent unlock should be stims.
Stims.
That was
stim
mine.
shots.
That was mine.
You don't get them to like level 30. If you play like we do, you need stims.
Stimmies.
Yeah, I'm stimming constantly.
Stimmies. But you're right. You're right, Dustin. There's been like many shifts, and like different games have had different dominating gun types. I think that they recently buffed SMGs because I feel like there was a very noticeable in the beta. Okay, the best weapon you could get was the SMG Jackal, and I think they kind of took that and how dominant it was in the beta and kind of moved them all downward. I think it's a little bit closer, but I think there's still some tweaking. But it kind of feels like right now, unless they drastically change something, this game will be a AR dominated game, which not all of them have been like that. In fact, I think in recent years, SMGs have mostly dominated the space, period. Yep. They outclassed in all ways the ARs, but I'm happy to see a return to form because I've been an AR guy the entire time. You know, I use the SMG because it's effective when I have to, but ARs are king as far as I'm concerned, especially, you know, looking forward into, you know, what they're going to be doing. Boys, I heard today, I think isn't the season 1 dropping real soon? Isn't it dropping like?
Yeah, I think it's pretty soon.
Like Thursday, maybe?
I didn't know it was that soon, but yeah.
I saw they detailed everything.
Someone at work told me that, so I'm going to have to, I should have looked that up before the show, but it's coming soon. And they did a whole roadmap, and the roadmap's looking good. I mean, Verdansk is coming back, which I'm really excited about. So the fact that we have like an AR meta and a good sniping system, and Verdansk is coming back, maybe not until next year. First and foremost, we're getting a smaller map. But yeah, this is good news. And I think looking forward, there's like a pretty positive outlook for the coming months of Call of Duty. So
I will say that just the last thing about multiplayer in general is that during the beta, the spawn system was really bad. Like there was no sense of map control at all, where constantly I felt like, okay, we have this side of the map, the other team has this side, but then it's like, oh, I guess I'm in an enemy area because I'm suddenly surrounded by 3 dudes at the same time, right? I feel like that's something that I've already felt that they've changed pretty significantly, where it doesn't necessarily feel like there's some sense of like, okay, we're on this side. You start to get a sense when the spawns are flipping. So overall, and Brandon, you mentioned the fact that they buffed the SMGs a little bit. They've already done a lot of tuning to this game, and it's only is this week 3, I think?
Yeah, something like, yeah.
So they've already done an incredible amount of work, and there's nothing that usually it's not just Call of Duty, but multiplayer games where they start to tune things. I think of Helldivers, and then suddenly everyone hates it because they overtuned it or undertuned it or something. And so they take away, too much. And so far, all the tuning, when I read the patch notes, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's good. And I'd say overall, when I'm playing the game, Brandon and Ben, maybe you notice this more than me, but I don't feel like there's 1 or 2 meta guns that are absolutely dominant. I'm sure if you went to the Call of Duty, there's like websites for Call of Duty meta and stuff. They definitely have ones, but I don't feel like I have to use the meta gun or else I'm not going to do well, at least currently.
Yeah. And that's kind of the thing with the Call of Duties. It's really, it's a hard thing to balance when you have so many moving pieces and so many variants throughout so many weapons. I feel like there's metas that have emerged, but I feel like the amount from the most meta to the least meta is maybe smaller right now than it has been in the past, especially coming off the backs of something like the current Warzone, where so many metas have been established and people are using the same gun over and over. I think it feels super fresh for now, and I hope they're able to maintain that sense of the biggest meta and the smallest meta, for lack of a better way of putting it. I hope that divide continues to be small as they tune things, because they've been known in the past to kind of just throw that sort of thing up in the air and it's landed completely flat, and the meta will be that way and nobody likes it for months at a time. So it is a tricky thing, and I want to be hopeful, but I know how these sort of things go. The true test, and what ends up happening is every time a new weapon comes out, it completely changes everything. And then they kind of build everything else around that. So I'm going to be interested to see when the new content comes in, how that's going to shuffle things. But I hope they kind of have considered how the game is playing currently more than how the new weapon is going to fit into that. So
I think the two weapons I've probably been killed with the most, and I don't think that either are necessarily meta because it's not like I'm seeing them in every match I'm playing, are probably the XM4 and whatever the Bison is called in this game, PP919.
PP19 or something like that.
Yeah. I think those two guns I'm seeing very consistently, but not enough for me to be like, oh, everybody's using that.
Right.
So that's good.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So far, I think Call of Duty's pretty damn good. Mm-hmm. I'm not in my peak anymore of Call of Duty 2, the OG, back in the old days. The old days. That's what
Boomer Brad here.
Yeah,
Boomer
that's right.
I gotta say, Brad, though, you're getting.
Recourt.
I mean, maybe you're not in the top of the leaderboard every game, although you are quite a few games, but you're definitely like. You're always surprised whenever you get play the game or whatever. You're playing well.
Just an old man now, Ben.
Yeah,
so things have changed.
Well, it's sad, Brad, because as I've gotten older, it was something that like I really liked. And Ben's like, oh, I just want to have a fun time with the boys. I want to do every time I log on to Call of Duty, I'm sweating as much as I possibly can. And it's gotten harder and harder because I can't keep up with it like I used to. And it kind of hurts my pride a little bit. Okay. But I'm still trying my fucking hardest at 30 years of age to be as on point, as cracked out on G Fuel as I possibly can be at any given moment to kind of like face off the 12-year-olds. So,
yeah. I think I just burned all of my FPS competitiveness on Team Fortress 2 when I used to play that all the time back in the day.
Right.
Yeah.
But not anymore, sadly. Even though I love TF2, it's ruined by bots, but
yeah,
great game. All right, boys, Call of Duty, great game. We recommend checking it out, especially it's on Game Pass, easy to check it out. You can probably get it for like, they always do those deals, right? Like $5 or something, or $1 to check out Game Pass. They always have some ridiculous stuff.
I don't know if they have the $1 anymore, but you can get deals still.
Yeah, and you can cancel it and just get your money back all the time.
Right.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
That's what I did like last time. I was like, oh, thanks, Phil, I guess. They're just like, here, take your money back. Okay.
Yeah.
But, gentlemen, it's finally arrived after the years of memes. It's finally here. Slitterhead. I've been playing Slitterhead. My Google Chrome is crashing right now, so that's good. I'm just watching my docket just move really slowly and not refresh for some reason.
They're still in the call.
I know. I think my Google Chrome has just crashed. There it goes. It finally decided to load. Oh boy, everything's gone. There we go.
Oh, it's all gone.
Yeah, just Google Docs freaking out. But yeah, I'm playing Slitterhead. Before I talk about it, let's read some of these write-ins just real quick. This is from DMAC. Slitter me timbers. That's it. This is from Dio Lixon. Hey, Slitty Slitter Slits. Slitterhead has slitted its slittery slit into the slitting Slitterhead. How do you slit about Slitterhead? What do you think of that, Brandon?
I don't like it.
I want to die, personally.
I don't like it. Dio, I'm so sorry. I will perish tonight for that write-in.
Yes. and and finally from Dick Nasty, Sup Summon Slits. Brad, I see you're playing Slitterhead. I am sure you will get into detail in this anyway, but what do you think the reviews are, or why do you think the reviews are so all over the place on this game? I'm seeing 4s and 9s. Seems like the most critically polarizing game in a while. Okay, so Slitterhead is a jank-ass game. It's very low budget in many ways, but it's kind of cool at the same time. There's some stuff I like about it. So I can understand kind of the all over the place score. I'll say this game is it feels very unique, very fresh. It reminds me a lot of the experimental PS2 era kind of games. This is by the guys that did like the Team Silent guys. I think he did Silent Hill 1 as well, or some of the old Silent Hills. I can't recall, but history and like horror stuff like that. But this game is not really necessarily a horror game from like how you play it, I guess. I guess tonally it can be. But if you guys remember the first review we saw years ago, it's just like these crazy like snake head people coming around killing people. And yeah, that's what the game is. But it's so weird how you play this game. So what the game is essentially is it takes place in like Shanghai, I guess, or something like that. So it's very claustrophobic streets right now. All the levels are like that. You play as not one character in this game. The thing you play as is the spirit, I guess. So the whole thing about the game is you possess different bodies during the game, and all these bodies you can take over. So like if there's a civilian, you can fly around. You can see bodies. You go into them and you play as them for a little bit, and you can attack with them. Some have their own moves, but there are special bodies you can possess that are like party member bodies, I guess, essentially. Because each mission is divided up into, it's like a mission structure. So you could start a mission, you could take these named characters. They have their own story and all that kind of stuff. You could bring two in with you at a time. But these characters will have their own unique abilities and powers. So like the first character you get is this girl named Julie. So she, like her thing, like most people you play as, just bust out like this blood bat kind of thing, and you swing it. Combat, kind of jank also. So get ready for a lot of that. But yeah, so you could swing the bat. You can kind of parry some stuff from enemies. It's like when you're locked onto an enemy, you could see an indicator where they're going to swing, like top left, top right, stuff like that. And if you move the camera button, the right analog stick at the right time, they'll parry it and stuff like that. So you can do that, but you can also just smack them and all that kind of stuff with like a bat and all that. But what's interesting is you play as these characters, these bodies. They can die when you're playing as them, so you can swipe into another body if they die. But you can only have 3 bodies usually die at a time, or until it's like retry or stuff like that. But if you get out a body before it dies while you're not in it, it doesn't matter. So you just got to kind of swap between bodies. And it's something you'll be doing a lot. It's such like an important element to the game. Like there are the more powerful bodies, like I was saying, like that girl Julie, because she can do like these Wolverine like blood claws almost like this, and she's swinging them around and she's like shooting. She has like cooldowns and stuff like that, and it's pretty neat. But like I'm saying, the game is kind of jank in all of its combat, so it's not really refined. It has cool ideas, but I just don't think it's executed super well in a lot of ways. It's decent enough, but not where I'm like, man, I really want to push the challenge kind of thing like that. I really want to dive into this combat system. It's not like that at all. But yeah, these characters have some unique abilities. And what's funny is like a lot of the fights you get into is you're in the streets and you're like controlling these main party members, I guess, that follow you around. And there's just a bunch of bodies flying around, and they could be collateral damage. Like you could accidentally just kill them and stuff like that. Some of them have abilities, like the girl Julie, she has an ability we can resurrect guys like that. So you want to keep them up. It's almost like having Pikmin around that you possess. Like think of Pikmin. You're like beating up a little plant guy or something like that. And you got these little Pikmin around, and you got like 5 or 6 maybe around, and you're controlling individual Pikmin at a time. Because if you're not controlling, the people don't really attack. They're afraid or something like that, or try to run away. But you're just switching between these Pikmin very frequently, because sometimes if you possess a body, you get a little buff for a little bit. So it's something you're constantly moving around through. But it's definitely what I like about it is because, or immediately you hop into the game, you're like, okay, well, I'm just going to use this body because I'm going to stick with like Julie, for instance, because she's stronger and she has these abilities. So that's really good. But then you realize quickly, you're like, no, I need to swap around a lot, actually, because I'm in these encounters, and whoever you're possessing gets aggro. So you could use it strategically. Like you're playing as this character, you want to get aggro with another one, so you can just swap to another character and get a couple hits on this boss. So there's a lot of that going on there. What's interesting is a lot of the abilities you use also drain your health. So you have like a mana and health thing. Some abilities use this mana kind of thing, and you get it back by pairing. And other thing is you lose health by doing these like blood abilities. But every character can, every like main character party member, like the special ones, you can absorb blood off the ground to get your health back. And of course, you can get talent points later on throughout the game. You can kind of spec into stuff like that, increase the amount of healing you get, increase the amount of damage you do with these kind of attacks. So there is like that sense of progression. But a couple of the other characters I've gotten, like the main party ones, they all play completely different. Like I got recently, the most recent guy I got, he's an actual bum off the streets, and he's like a monk kind of guy, and he just like punches and does all this crazy stuff. You can do abilities where like he auto counters and stuff like that. So it's really fun. One guy, he has it's like this motorcycle guy, and he has like a shotgun he uses, and it shoots blood bullets, but it takes away a ton of health, but it does a lot of damage. And he has like a spear kind of thing like that, which is really cool. But there's this one character I got recently, this woman, her whole kind of thing is like, it seems like she's like very good at buffing other, like her specialty is having other body humans around like there. She can summon other humans to kind of be around the enemies to give you more like essentially bodies to hop through. And she could also kind of rally them all so they'll attack the enemy. So I like that kind of approach in the sense of like, she's not so focused on doing damage herself by using these other people to do damage. I think it's cool like that. But also the music's kind of cool. I believe it's done by Akira Yamaoka, who's done like Silent Hill and stuff like that. So it's kind of got that vibe. But dude, the game is a lower budget game. I think it's $50. It's not a full price game, anything like that. And you could definitely see it in a lot of ways. Like there's not a lot of voice acting. Sometimes the voice acting is in Chinese, or sometimes I don't know what it's in. Sometimes it's in English and I don't understand why at times like that. Sometimes there's just grunts and stuff like that. So I'm very confused on it. But in between missions, you need to talk to each of these people, and they each have like their own tab. Like here's the Julie tab, here's the Alex tab, stuff like that. And you talk to these people, and it's just like almost like a visual novel when you're talking to them. They're just like sitting around. Like one of the girls, Julie, is just like, she's an actor or whatever, and she's just sitting there stretching or whatever, doing stretches, and the camera's just slowly like rotating around her. And it's just like kind of awkward, these conversations. There are a lot of these conversations. They don't go on for too long, but sometimes you got to do like 4 in a row, and you're like, okay, this is kind of weird, I guess, but we're doing this. And it's one of the characters is just kind of sitting there in lingerie. I think she was like a prostitute or something, and I'm just like, oh, this is very interesting. I'm kind of surprised by that, but it's cool. I still like the game, but it is super rough. Like, because you are this spirit, you're possessing bodies, and you get a couple abilities to like separate them, like supernatural stuff. Like occasionally you can like Spider-Man web up to like a sign, or to get like to the rooftops and stuff like that. But it's very much like you don't have freedom to do it. You can't do it anywhere. It's just very specific points, like Sekiro, but it somehow feels even like way, way, way more limited. Because like, for instance, let's say you're on the ground, you need to get up to the roof to kill this one thing. So you got to figure out how to get there. Sometimes you got to fly up there as high as you can to get into a body, or you got to try to zoom up there. So there is some puzzle solving aspects like that, I guess. There's things to find, like skill points out there if you want to explore. But it's pretty easy to get through the missions. The missions also aren't too long, which is good. You know, they're like 20 minutes or something like that. So I think that's a really good idea, because you don't want that stuff to drag on. And like the character, they're stylized, the characters, but their faces look so weird and not good a lot of times. I'm like, this looks like a PS3 face, essentially, like that. It's very funny. But the Slitterheads themselves look really cool. They look really awesome. Like praying mantis kind of things, like ripping out of bodies when they transform. It looks really cool. I love all that kind of stuff. And the story is interesting in some ways. Like a lot of it is you are this spirit and you don't really know who you are or what you are, why you're like this. And so you're kind of unraveling all that stuff and unraveling what the Slitterheads themselves are. And there's like a whole bunch of like lore going on, that kind of stuff I won't get into. But there's a story in there. I'm kind of curious to see where it goes. But I do like this game. I think if you're into really weird video games that kind of do stuff that you don't see every day in a game, you might find something here. But I'm going to warn you, it's very rough in a lot of ways. Very rough in like gameplay and some of the presentation like that. But there's something charming about it that I like. I don't know. It's like a cool, not great game is how the best I would describe it as. So if you're really into like weird games like that kind of stuff, you're just looking for something strange, unusual, Slitterhead may be it. Especially because it's not a full price game. I have no idea how long it is though, so I'm not really sure. It could be 10 hours or less. I have no idea. But I don't know. It's a weird game that doesn't play great in a lot of ways, but I think it has really cool ideas. And it's a game I like to root for, but just be aware of that kind of. It's not the greatest, so beware.
Do you want to know how long it is?
Sure.
Well, How Long to Beat doesn't have a consensus on the main story, but it says main plus sides 13 hours.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
that's only
fine.
one person reporting. So
Okay.
either no one has played it or no one has logged it. One of the other.
Yeah.
Brad, the thing I thought about this game is it. You were telling me how weird it looked and everything. And it does look weird, but when you said like, oh, it's like PS2, I was like, okay, I kind of understand what you mean as far as gameplay. But at least from footage I've seen online, and I did tune in for a little bit to watch you. Did you stream it?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody was okay. You streamed it, and it actually looks pretty good. Like graphically,
the environments look nice, but like
Yeah.
some of the character models, when you like see them, they look. I mean, obviously, deliberately, it's a stylized choice when you see them, but
Right.
it's like very primitive, I guess.
you talked like almost exclusively about combat, and I'm sure that's the crux of the game. But
Mhm.
what is there anything else to do? Like, do
So
you collect things? Do you anything
like
in between?
in the mission, there's some things you could find. You could find like some glowing orbs that give you more skill points or something like that. So there are a few things. There's like you can get some like masks for the characters. A lot of them wear masks you can wear or not like that. There was like a combat trial I found where you just kind of like beat these guys. I only found one of them, but it's like you beat these guys and that was it. You get a mask. So there's like some stuff to find. There's some secrets to find like that, but I haven't found personally a ton of them because the environments are just like very dense and very maze-like. So it's kind of easy to get lost, I feel like. Because
Gotcha.
like so far the game has all been like very close, like Shanghai streets like that. A lot of back alleys, like going in very small buildings and stuff like that. But yeah, it's kind of cool.
Brad, I will say that you've inspired me to want to play this game at some point. Just because, like, hearing you explain the combat, where it's like, oh, you swap bodies, and it's kind of like Pikmin, and it's like, whoa, it's clear. Would you say this is unlike any game you've ever played before?
That I can think of off the top of my head, yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes for me, I know I feel this way about movies a lot, is that sometimes I'll see a movie, I'll be like, I know critically that wasn't very good, but it was creative and unlike anything I've ever seen. And for that reason, I liked it. Just because
that's Slitterhead.
In both movies and games, we get the same types of games all the time. And so sometimes it can be nice to play something totally different, even if it is jank. So, and I think too that I know that I fall into this trap where it's like, oh, this game scoring a lot of 6s and 7s. I don't have time for it because I have all these great games to play. But it's like, no, honestly, some of these games that score lower can also be pretty good with the right expectations. I think about Valkyrie Elysium a few years ago. Did not score very well, but I played the demo and liked it. So I bought it and I played it. It's like, well, it wasn't amazing, but I enjoyed it for what it was and the right expectations. And so just hearing about how unique it is, and the combat and the different systems, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I will give Slitterhead a go. I just don't know when.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you're looking for something different and unique, I guess there's something here, but it is rough. So just be warned about that kind of thing. Don't expect, like, if I reviewed it, I'd be like in the 6 territory, but it'd be an earnest, loving 6 kind of thing where I'm like, technically it's not good in so many ways, but what's here is really cool and interesting. So I really like that about it. So that's Slitterhead. I'll be playing more, but I definitely want to finish it sometime, but I'm glad it exists. What a weird ass game. All right, boys, it's time for Sort It Out. On this segment, we talk about something that's just bothering us in the game industry. Something that needs sorting. Could be a game, could be a company, could be an individual at a game company, whatever. Brandon, let's start with you, man.
Yeah.
What do you think needs sorting in the game industry right now?
Honestly, I was giving it some thought, and I think that on the Call of Duty topic, I feel like this is a perfect example, is that I think the video game industry, as we get into a more cross-platform environment where a lot of the same games are played on many different platforms. They're played on PC and on console. I think that we need to do better about making menus unique to platforms. Maybe not necessarily unique to Xbox and PlayStation and Switch, but different between PCs and consoles, or controllers and mouse and keyboard. Call of Duty is a perfect example. I feel like part of the reason the menus are so bad and so cumbersome is because they've tried their hardest to adapt them for both. And for that reason, I think the overall product, the overall presentation, the overall execution of the menus suffers because of it, because it has to tailor to both. When in reality, even though it would take more time and more effort and more, more development, I think it would be worth having a PC specific menu and having a console specific menu. So that way we wouldn't have to, kind of almost compromise on either way. And I genuinely think Call of Duty is actually one of the best examples I know in recent years where the menus are not the worst they've ever been, but they're definitely not good. And I feel like that is wholly for the reason that not because they're clueless, but because now that PC is more prominent than ever, especially in that space, that they just have to kind of make one that works for both instead of just kind of making a better version of each product. I don't see any reason we wouldn't be able to develop a PC menu and and a console menu. But aside from costs, I guess. But that's kind of my complaint is that, yeah, I just hate having a worse product because we have to just make it for everybody. I would rather have a better product for each one.
Yeah, interesting. I never thought of different menus for different like controller schemes and stuff like that. That's interesting. Ben, what needs sorting, dude?
When I play Call of Duty, I like to look as ridiculous as possible. I like to have every possible skin. You guys know,
I know where this is going, dude.
Yes.
When I played Modern Warfare 2, the new one, I had every possible skin you could get in the United States. I bought Mountain Dew. I bought Monster Energy. I went to Little Caesars. I got my friend in Canada to send me the Burger King code. I got a listener / friend from one of the Discords to send me a code from Papa John's in the UK so I could have that skin. I had every possible skin. Listen, I know that there's all these like claims and stuff to get like double XP, that's great. I like that stuff, but I don't, whatever. I want the skins. I want to look cool. I'll even pay for them to some extent. Not a lot of money, but I'll pay for them. There are two major things about this Call of Duty and all the collaborations that they've done that I understand probably work for a business perspective, but do not work for me as a player. The first is that both Little Caesars and Monster are running like, buy our product, get a code, redeem it. Both of them, well, specifically with Little Caesars, if you get a receipt, you have to go into their website, enter it in, and you get a random thing. You might get a double XP token. You might get a sticker, you might get whatever, you might get a skin. Even if you said like you got to do X amount, but you guaranteed get the skin, that's fine. But right now it's just like I've entered in, and maybe not all of these were legitimate, maybe some of these were from other people, a couple of them were my own. I've entered in like 10 Little Caesars receipts, and first of all, they have to verify them, and then you randomly get something. I've still not gotten the skin. Got the emblem. Pretty pissed about not getting the skin yet. With Monster Energy, you have to go on. They used to do just like you get the little code on the back of the tab, you enter it in, you automatically get your thing. Now they do a thing where you have to get your receipt, you have to take a picture of it, you have to upload it to their website, they have to verify it, whether it's AI or an actual person, I don't know, but they have to verify it, and then you get there's a progression of things. You do guaranteed get those things if you get X amount of receipts or whatever, but it's not easy. Specifically, my sorted out is with Monster Energy's website, because they've made it now so that instead of using these codes just to automatically get them, you have to submit your receipts. So, okay, whatever, I'll do that. So I buy 4 monsters because I knew that I wanted at least 4 of these points to be able to get a certain thing. And then I upload the receipt. Not only, it's not that it won't verify it, the website will not upload the receipt. it tells you like, okay, make sure it's in this format, make sure you don't have these things applied, whatever. I have tried my own computer, my laptop, my wife's computer, multiple different browsers on each, cognito mode, clearing cache. I've tried my cell phone on and off of mobile data. I've tried using multiple different browsers on there. I've even downloaded browsers that I will never use again to try to get it. I sent my login information and credentials to Dustin, our buddy Justin, our friend Jimmy, all to log in and try to submit my receipt for me, and it will not even upload it. It's not that it won't verify it, it won't upload it. Okay? So I even went as far as to make a new account to link to my Call of Duty account to upload it. Tried all those things again. I'm talking like probably 30 browsers across all these different devices. Can't get it to work. Finally, I don't know what happened, but I got on my iPad. I deleted all of my browser apps on it. I downloaded Firefox, cleared the cache, didn't log into anything, figured it out, uploaded it. It immediately took the receipt. And I've tried Firefox on other devices. It's not just whatever. This is a widespread problem, by the way. This is not a Ben problem. This is like lots of people online are having this problem, okay? Some people aren't, but many people are. I upload them, a receipt with 4 cans. Comes back, 1 can purchased. Like, you know what? Okay, it took it. I went and bought 2 more, not specifically for this, but also specifically for this. Uploaded the receipt with 2 more. Uploaded it through the same method. First try it worked. Came back 1 can. Really pisses me off. Not because I'm not like I am obsessing over it. Not because like, yeah, I'm obsessing over it. Okay, that's the reality. And to the extent that last week I contacted customer service through an email, which is what they tell you to do if it doesn't work. No response. They said 48 business hours guaranteed. Not a chance. Or 48 hours, 2 business days guaranteed. Not a chance. I went into it today and finally got them to upload over the last like 24 hours, by the way. Went in, got to upload. It didn't work out. So I called the helpline. And so every time you call the helpline, it just rings and rings and rings and eventually says no one's available to help you. I know that today was Veterans Day, but that wasn't the reason. Finally, tonight, we were supposed to start at 7. We started at like 7:20, which was totally fine. But I was like, I'm going to try this one more thing. I found a Reddit thread with a secret phone number. Called in. Immediately, first call, some lady answers and goes, Monster Energy. And I'm like, holy shit. And I said, here's my problem. Transfer me. She finally transfers me over to this other person who immediately picks up the phone. And I said, here's my problem. It didn't verify them correctly. I want the freaking skins. And she goes, 1 second, what's your email address? Gave her my email address and she goes, here you go. And like does it immediately and fixes it. So I guess that's a little bit of a keep it up for that lady to help me out. But the fact that it took me 2 weeks and getting all of my friends to help, just go back to the codes on the cans, guys.
Seriously.
Like this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I know that this is a very first world problem. This doesn't matter, whatever. But this is like the one thing a year that matters to me in video games. And I want it. And I'm pissed about it. And I'm not buying Monster Energy for Call of Duty this year anymore because I got what I wanted. So screw you guys.
That was a really good one. I like that.
Good.
Man.
Yeah.
Screw those guys.
My first code that I entered, which you can see on the receipt, clear as day, Monster Juice Chaotic 16 ounce. Responded 0 cans. It's like, oh, cool.
All right.
So I had my own share of problems, but not anymore. Not to the extent as that Ben did.
No, you did get the Little Caesar skin though.
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
I got
that's
lucky
a
with
nice
that
skin.
one.
So here's what I'm going to say. Now that I got Monster sorted out, Dustin got his Little Caesar skin. I will happily pass on every double XP code, whatever they give. If anybody is in the UK and has EE as their cell phone provider, or if you go to Papa John's, I would love those skins. Help a brother out.
Yeah. We'll light the beacons, let people know Ben needs those codes.
Gondor needs aid.
That's right. Gotta get those.
And Little Caesars, I swear to God, if the next one I put in doesn't give me the... My God. I don't really get upset about a whole lot, but this...
I know. Yeah, this great.
Pissed me off.
I love it. Yeah. That's a great one. Dustin, what about you, man?
My sorted out is, so as some of you know, my TV started deteriorating, and I was thinking for the last few months, my TV.
Whoa.
Yeah, the pixels at the bottom are starting to get bad.
Oh no.
Like being weird colors or whatever. And so I knew that it was starting to bother me. But when Holly saw it, my parents saw it, they're like, oh, it's not a problem. I've lived with this for a few months now. And so eventually I came to the conclusion, I'm like, well, I could either just ride this out and have it annoy me every day of my life, or I could just buy a new TV. And my parents, now that they're moving back to Butler, I was like, you know what? I'm going to give them this TV because they told me they don't care about the pixels getting bad in certain areas. They're like, oh, we don't even notice. So anyway, I bought a new TV. That's the long story short of that. My sorted out is for TVs having all these stupid default settings on when you buy it. Immediately boot it up. I'm like, wow, it looks bright and amazing, but it looks too bright. I'm like, oh, there's a dynamic contrast setting that's on high. So I change it for my PS5. Then I go to YouTube and I start watching something on the app on the TV. And it's so bright. I'm like, motherfucker. Every default thing has this auto contrast on it. I'm like, I don't know what's up with that. So I have to change it for every single time. Last night, I'm on Apple TV, the app, so I can watch Severance again to get ready for the new season in January. Must watch, everybody. Within 3 seconds of there's like little teasers for their Apple TV shows. It looks like a soap opera. I'm like, no, what's going on here, boys? What's going on? And for some reason on this app, the motion smoothing was on, which I thought I already turned that off at the very beginning. So I sorted out these TV companies. Just make your TV the way it should be out of the box. No one deserves motion smoothing. You know, some people, they're like, oh, I don't see the difference. Their kid comes over and fixes it for them. No, show them the light. Leave the option, I guess, but keep that shit off. No one should watch TV with that on, period. So other than that, TV's great.
Yeah.
Sort that out.
I think it's annoying. Yeah, you get a TV, you have to like calibrate it and everything like that. It's like, why can't you guys just do that? Come on, man. It's ridiculous. Did you get an OLED again?
I did, but I got a different brand. My last TV was at LG C9. And this one is a Samsung S90D.
Okay,
so
nice.
It's a different type of OLED technology.
Okay.
But it's brighter than my old one, more colorful. It actually was cheaper than my LG when I bought it too, which is nice.
Probably, no.
Man. Dustin, I have a question.
Yes.
As far as tech goes, you're more, I like to think I'm pretty sensitive to stuff, but I know you're very sensitive. How much extra money in your life do you think your technology AIDS brain has cost you?
Technology AIDS brain?
Yeah. Since everybody else who's seen that TV is like, it's fine. And you had to go, you couldn't handle it.
Well, yeah, this is why I have a PS5 Pro pre-ordered. Though I will say that I was deep in thought about there's the LG G4. So there's the C4 and the G4 is the more expensive version. So I was like, I want to get that, but it was, I think at least 1,000 more than the S90D. And I watched so many reviews and most of them were like, listen, the G4 will outperform the S90D in certain situations, but it's not worth the extra money. So in that sense, I was able to let go a little bit. I was like, I don't need the more expensive TV. This one's going to do everything I need.
Yeah.
Fine. So, but yeah, frame rates, resolution, broken pixels. I wish I wasn't this way, but I am.
You're born this way.
I was born this way.
Dustin, that would drive me insane as well. I could not handle that. That's unacceptable, man.
Yeah.
Kidding me? Yeah, you did the right thing, Dustin.
And my thought too is that I could hold on to the TV for another 6 months and it bother me every day. Or my parents can enjoy, they've never had a TV like this. And they're going to be wowed by it every time they use it. I'm like, you know what? I might as well just do that. So shout out mom and dad to your new free TV from your loving son. That's broken.
That's right. Yeah, that's broken. What a great son. Let's see. My sorted out. So if you guys listen to Punching Up or heard a couple episodes ago, I've been playing Pokemon games. I've been getting back into Pokemon. It happened. I enjoy Pokemon again. I played through Pokemon Gold recently, and I've been trying to collect one game from every gen because I eventually want to go through all the gens. So like recently, yesterday, I just got Ultra Moon. I bought that, and I got like something Sapphire, the 3DS remake of that, the Sapphire version. But anyways, the thing about these Pokemon games is a lot of them are very expensive. A lot of them. Like we're talking 100 plus for many of these types of games, like Black and White 1 and 2, if you can even find them and stuff like that. Like Pokemon Emerald is like 200, I think, plus for just the cart or something like that. It's like insane how much these games are. Nintendo, why the hell can I not buy any of these games digitally? Like any of them. The 3DS store is gone, man. You don't have them on NSO or anything? What are you doing, man? No collection or anything? Nothing? Nintendo, they don't want you pirating stuff? Let me fucking buy this stuff, please, man. Pokemon, like the biggest IP on the planet, I can't buy these Pokemon games? It's insane. Nintendo, sort that out immediately.
Nintendo says, "Oh, we do have a Pokemon game for you to buy. It's called Pokemon Violet and Scarlet."
Oh,
aren't you happy?
Yeah.
Aren't you happy?
No.
Brad? We have the new one for you. Why would you want that old shit?
Apologize because it was so bad. Yeah, that's like a Jim Ryan thing. Like, why would you need to play the old one?
You don't
Just play
need
the
that.
new one.
This one's open world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine. But yeah, it's ridiculous. Pokemon is such a legendary franchise. And it's like, come on, man. How do you not have these games out for anyone to just buy? It's ridiculous. Not even on like your online service. You have no main Pokemon games on there. You have the Stadium games, I guess, and Snap. Cool, I guess. But come on, man. Let me buy these games legally for a fair price. Let me give you money, for God's sakes. Always with Nintendo. Let me give you money, please. God. All right. This is from Andrew Feisner. Sorted out Backbone. I shouldn't need to subscribe to your service and pay money to use your product in a basic manner. Let me plug my Backbone 1 into my computer to use it as a controller without charging $40 a year to do so.
What?
Sort it out. That is insane.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
I didn't either. That's why I put it in here. I was like, this sounds ridiculous. Dustin, investigate this.
I'm
please.
looking. Okay, so I'm seeing a Backbone
Jamie,
Plus.
pull it up.
Yeah.
Jamie, pull that shit up. Unlock it all with Backbone Plus membership. All your games in one place with 20 plus. I don't see anything about this being required to use it on your thing. I'm confused. There is a subscription, but I don't know if it. Let's see. Wait. Play on any screen. Use your Backbone 1 on PC, Mac, and iPads, and that is part of the membership. So maybe there is something to this.
Yeah, it's whack. Well, we're gonna believe you, Andrew, right here because we don't know, but that's ridiculous, man. Sort that out. What are you doing? What are you doing?
What are you doing?
God, it's like that's insulting, honestly.
Yeah, it is.
Sort it out, Backbone. All right, this is from T.Dot's Finest 82. Hello again, Summoners. Sorted out to the majority of reviewers of the PS5 Pro. You're all doing it wrong, with the exception of Digital Foundry and NX Gamer. Couple of things when considering the value of the Pro. 1. Side-by-side screenshots are not where you're going to see the biggest difference. In motion is where the additional GPU horsepower and PSSR capable shines through. Colin often talks about Alan Wake 2's shimmering on his PS5. That's just FSR2 upscaling from 862p to 4K and doing a horrible job of it. The Pro resolves a lot of this anti-aliasing, which doesn't get captured in stills but makes a world of difference in motion. 2. The console is not for the majority of people even reviewing them. It's not for the casual audience, and it's not even for the hardcore gamer, because all they ever say is how graphics don't matter, gameplay does. The console is for the graphics horrors of the world like myself, who do notice the little details and generally enjoy a game more the better the graphics or art style get. So, sort it out to the majority of reviewers out there who say it's not essential but nice to have. The box was never going to be more than that for more than 10% of the PlayStation audience, like the PS4 Pro. Wait. You're saying it's not okay for people to say it's not essential but nice to have? I think, isn't that kind of a fair assessment of it? Like, you don't need one, but it is nice to have.
Right.
I think they're saying sort it out for saying that because, of course, it's not. Like, it was never going to be for more than 10% of the audience. I think that's what they're saying.
Okay. Dustin, what do you think about all of this?
I will say I agree with him. I was watching a review today, and I have no problem with this reviewer, but there was something in it that I noticed. The Skill Ups review of the PS5 Pro. He was talking about how, specifically with Last of Us, he had like the original performance mode versus whatever, and he's like, yeah, there's just not. I didn't even really notice. And he's like, you can tell it's a little sharper or whatever, but I don't want to say he was downplaying it, but he was saying it wasn't a big difference to him, which, of course, that's in the eye of the beholder on whether or not it's going to be a difference. When I saw those two shots up on his review, I was like, oh, yeah, I can definitely tell. And that it doesn't, I guess it bothers this, Ben. This is the AIDS brain that you mentioned, the technology AIDS brain, where a lot of times when I play performance mode games on PS5, there is something in the back of my brain that I'm like, I know how good the quality mode looks. And that was the most apparent on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, where it's like, I know how good it can look. And I hate this feeling of sacrifice in order to get the better resolution. And so if the PS5 Pro, the promise of it overall, which of course it's up to developers, is that you don't have to compromise, or at least as much. Not everyone's going to care about that. He's right. A smaller amount, but does it fulfill that promise? In a lot of games, yes. Not all of them, but for me, playing, like, if Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was out tomorrow, I'd be like, hell yeah. This is so nice that I'm able to get both, right? So that's my hope for the future games. But I do agree, like, a lot of reviewers, it's weird. I don't want to say reviewers aren't fair, because I think a lot of them have been. That's like, yeah, it's nice, but you don't need it, probably. Some people will need it or want it. And that makes sense for a $700 console.
Mm-hmm. I want to clarify something about your tech AIDS brain. Yeah. I'm right there with you like 90% of the time. So it's not really a bash. You just take it like one step further than me.
I hate myself. I know.
Dustin, Rebirth looks really good on the Pro.
Man. Everything I've seen looks so good.
It looks so good, man. I booted up. I was like, wow, this looks awesome.
That seems to be the game that people say, like, this is the game that justifies the Pro, stuff like this. So that's my hope, is that in the future, that's the type of things we can see from the Pro. Mm-hmm. Like I'm thinking of Ghost of Yotai, like playing that on the Pro, playing on performance or whatever, the Pro mode that is the performance plus a beautiful 4K image. That's exciting to me.
Yeah. First party stuff's going to look nuts. No doubt about that. But yeah, when they said Rebirth was going to have it, I was like, oh yeah, I'm buying that no matter what. That locked it in for me. So there it is. Okay, boys, it's time for Keep It Up. The exact opposite stuff we're pleased with in the gaming industry. Who's doing a good job right now? Brandon.
Yeah.
What are you pleased with right now?
Yeah, mine's like a very sticking it to the man type answer. And I want all of these big gaming companies to keep up with failing in video games, because I want these companies to suffer and learn from their mistakes. I want these suits to learn something about what people actually want. And I don't know if it's necessarily all that. I think that gamers have so many things they could play now, so they're being more conscious of what they can play. But things come to mind like Concord, like Kill the Justice League, like Foam Stars, like Skull and Bones and Star Wars Outlaws. I'm glad that we're starting to see kind of a shift. So whether it be tone-deaf office people making decisions about these many, many million-dollar projects, or maybe a foreign government pumping money into a shitty ship combat game, I'm glad that these things are failing, at least to some extent. And I'm glad that the public does have some part in that. I think it's kind of twofold. So keep it up to the conscious gamer, to the busy gamer, to not buy shit that we don't need, to not buy shit that's subpar or doesn't stand out or is a shitty rebrand of Splatoon. Just don't buy it. So keep it up, gamers. Do the right thing. Don't buy the shitty games. And yeah, make the company suffer, really, because then we'll just get a better product. Because usually they get rewarded for putting out bad product. And this year it's been different for those games that I've mentioned. And even though, people have suffered because of that. That's not what I'm saying. I don't want people. Right. I don't want the suffering to keep up. I want the suffering to keep up for the people that are making bad decisions and not the ones that are making the right ones. So
right. Brandon's saying keep losing your jobs out there. So.
You heard it first. Yeah. You heard it first. Keep getting laid off. That's what I want.
Exactly. I mean, I agree with you, Brandon. Like, I hate, dude, Suicide Squad Kill Justice League. I really dislike that game. I tried to play it, even with the boys. I couldn't enjoy it because it was so boring.
It was so ass.
Yeah. It's like, I'm just going to watch the cutscenes on YouTube. I'm not going to even play the game anymore.
Have you done that yet?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
No. Because you know what? There's no, I'm not like, oh, I need to see what happens. And I'm just kind of like, eh.
Right. And Ben, I'm sorry for what I said.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's a good one though.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
Hey, then, you said people make shitty decisions, people get laid off. I didn't make any shitty decisions.
Exactly.
So you weren't talking to me.
Exactly.
So.
Well, the part where I was like, keep getting laid off. That specifically is where that specifically I get. I'm sorry.
Ben. Keep it up. What needs keeping up, dude?
I actually chose not to have a keep it up.
Okay.
This week, and it's partially in light of what Brandon said. I'm not really pleased with anybody super much or a whole lot, and keep it up to my friends. And I didn't know Dustin was going to be on this episode, but keep it up specifically to Dustin.
Well, yeah,
and that's all very nice. Say. Yeah, very
nice. What about you, Dustin?
My keep it up, simple one. Keep it up, Miyamoto. He had a rough patch, I think, kind of in the late Wii and Wii U era with, Skyward Sword. I know a lot of people like it. And then he was big on that Star Fox game for Wii U that sucked. So I'm kind of happy to see him now. He's just kind of, anytime I see him, he makes me happy. He's talking about the movie. And today they just showed off the new Donkey Kong world for Super Nintendo World in Japan. He just looks like he's living his best life and just creating cool and fun experiences. Super humble. I think there was the interview recently where he said, he's like, oh, I'm just a normal guy, and everyone's like, no, you are not a normal guy by any means. So keep it up, Miyamoto.
That is kind of in line with what I was thinking too, Dustin, because they did have the Nintendo Direct today. It was funny, Dustin, because you're like, they'll do anything to not talk about the Switch 2 or whatever. Right. They'll announce anything. It's like, here we go, another thing. It's another Direct but it's cool. It's the Donkey Kong land or whatever. I think it's called Donkey Kong Country, actually, which makes sense. Coming to Universal in Japan, and I assume to the West as well. But I actually watched a lot of this, and it looks really cool, man. Like, when you walk in there, you see Donkey Kong's house, and he's got all those bananas. You can get the banana, they have, banana-themed drinks and all that kind of stuff. They have, a Donkey Kong hot dog or something like that. I want to eat that Donkey Kong dog.
Oh, my God.
You want to eat Donkey Kong's wiener.
The donkey dog.
You do.
Dude, the donkey dog, baby.
With the cream on top.
Oh, yeah.
What about,
it's got, Doritos on top or something, too. It's like, yeah, I want that shit.
Stay away from
all that.
The Diddy dog.
Stay away
from the Diddy dog, buddy.
But they got cool ass Funky Kong's airplane thing. It's a shop, and the ride is a minecart ride. I want to see all that, an animatronic Cranky Kong in Japanese. That's what I want. I'm gonna be really mad when they bring it over here and it's Fred Armisen or whatever the hell his name is from SNL being Cranky Kong again.
Oh, Fred Armisen.
Sounding like shit. Just give me the Japanese Donkey Kong or something like this. We don't need that kind of stuff. When Seth Rogen, I hear Seth Rogen's voice in Donkey Kong at the amusement park, I'm going to be upset. It's going to ruin everything for me.
I don't think they'll do that.
Other than that,
I'd be wrong, but
yeah, the land looks really cool. I'm looking forward to it one day as a big Donkey Kong fan. So well done, Nintendo. Sort it out and keep it up for you this week. Nice work. All right, let's hear from the audience a little bit. This is from Poot. Poot is someone you also do a podcast with, Ben, right? What's your podcast?
Not anymore. We did. We just talked about the show The Penguin. Yeah.
Yes, Cobble Talk with you, Lockmore, our friend Justin, and Poot. If you are into the Penguin TV show, watch their podcast. They got one for every episode. All right. Poot says, hey to the B3 way. I thought this was appropriate for an episode with an environment full of dashing dudes, so keep it up to the environmental designers. Amidst the various issues with some high-profile games like Starfield, Star Wars Outlaws, etc., the environmental designers have really flexed. Other notable big environment design flexing was in Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Space Marine 2, Black Ops 6, Metaphor, Dragon Age Veilguard, and Shadow of the Erdtree. Side note, I believe environmental designers are the low-key MVPs of From Software. P.S. To the most glorious Ginger Brandon, are you ever getting the Pro for a better quality Tifa and Stellar Blade Eve? Be honest, don't lie.
Wow. Poot doesn't know me, but I feel like he knows me. If you know what I mean. So yeah, I might have to wait for a PC launch for this. I don't think I'm going to bite quite yet. As much as my mouth is watering at the idea of what was mentioned. We're gonna wait and see. See. I'll be able to go over to Dustin's and get plenty of Tifa. He'll leave me alone in the room for a little bit.
Yeah,
and I'll be able to just enjoy myself.
Brandon, I just want to say I was at your house shortly after the Stellar Blade demo launched, and I was like, "What's that most recent screenshot you got there?" And it was,
dude, a whole lot.
It would have been good for a pro,
dude. A whole lot of ass.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Brandon, follow Genki on Twitter. He's got your Gooner needs covered.
Yes,
dude.
Perfect. Both Tifa and Eve. He's
what a legend.
He's all about that.
He's a man of culture. I see.
Yes, absolutely.
Speaking of Eve, Dustin, you saw the Nier collab coming the 20th.
It's cool.
Yeah. I watched the trailer. It looks cute. It doesn't. I'm sure it's one of those things you'll go in and get the skins or whatever. I'm curious how extensive it is, but I'll check it out on the Pro.
Yeah.
The photo mode.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oof.
Lord have mercy.
Will.
Lord have mercy.
Okay.
Send those to Brandon, dude.
I'm sweating.
Hook them up. Yeah, a bunch of new skins coming. 2B for her, all that stuff, of course.
Naturally.
So you got plenty of content, Brandon.
A lot of natural things about it. Really,
it's got certain characteristics about it I can't really describe.
Absolutely.
What if Stellar Blade was like, "Hey, we're releasing an official nude skin"?
There kind of is one.
It's $2,000.
Good.
It's a $2,000 microtransaction.
Yeah.
Oh, people would buy it.
Absolutely.
There's people who would pay it,
dude.
I don't think any of them are on this call right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
dude, have you seen Brad? You've had to have seen this. I've seen it on Twitter. There's the mods for Resident Evil, the like nude mods. Like I've seen one where just Leon's like walking around. He's got a giant boner.
Yeah.
I'm like, well,
there's plenty of that.
I'm not into it, but it looks like it would be an absolute great playthrough.
It's like I'm not into it, but I respect it.
I respect Leon's boner.
Yeah,
like through and through, really, top to bottom, tip to tip.
Just
tip the shot.
Just
tip the shot.
Tip the shot.
I respect Leon's boner. Tip
the shot. Dude, just wait till Stellar Blade's out on PC.
It's gonna be a bloodbath. Well, more like a comebath, but
yeah, it's gonna get filthy. All right,
I'm sorry.
This is from Astro Parrot King. Hello, brothers. I have a keep it up for the one and only mayor of our favorite urban legend. At each live show that I've been to, both Ben and Brandon have been wonderful in the way that they treat the community. Keep doing awesome work. Have a Cowboy Ben will always be my favorite emote type of day.
Nice.
Very nice.
Cool,
Astro Parrot King.
Thank you.
All right, this is from Cody Hangsbach. Hey guys, I just want to give a feed it up to Digital Foundry.
You mean to say feep it up?
I think they might keep it up, but that's awesome. Keep it up to Digital Foundry. Their coverage, or maybe I did that wrong. I don't know. Their coverage of the PS5 Pro has been awesome and has made a casual tech guy like me a little more knowledgeable, and it's made me really appreciate the PS5 Pro. Playing the 2 Horizon games and really digging the PS5 Pro upgrades. Who was it in our group that doesn't like Digital Foundry? Was it Lockmore?
Probably.
I think it to some extent is Locke, but our buddy Dave, who we do the HP podcast with, does not like Digital Foundry
at all.
Yeah, maybe it was him.
Yeah, he's yes.
He's a hater.
I appreciate Digital Foundry a lot because I like a lot of that tech stuff and I have learned a lot about it. I think it's cool. But people they run too wild with it, getting crazy about a bunch of shit that doesn't matter. It's like fanboy flames or whatever, and that's your right to do it. But
I think that's more the thing is that I don't really know that people dislike Digital Foundry as much as they dislike the discourse that comes from people using Digital Foundry information against, for their console wars.
And I'm sure they hate it too.
Oh yeah, they probably do.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, they strongly dislike it. All right, dudes, let's talk about Pokemon TCG Pocket. Have all three of you been playing this? Dustin, have you been collecting the cards at least?
Yeah, I haven't actually played a battle yet. I need to though.
Okay. Ben, let's start with you. I know you've been playing this. One of your sons plays it as well, right?
Yeah, my oldest plays it. My youngest wants to, but I haven't got him into it yet.
Okay. Did you beat his ass in it?
My oldest sons, yeah.
Nice.
Oh yeah, pretty much every chance I get.
Yeah, good. Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, talk to me.
Okay, so I've been a Pokemon fan for as long as Pokemon's existed, and I've played, most of the Pokemon games, not the most recent one because it's apparently shit and I've refused to support it. But I've played at least one game in every generation. I've played many of the apps. Well, there's only been 2 real apps before this. Of course, there's Pokemon Go, which I went hard on like everybody did when it first came out. And then there was the trading card game that was out for a long time, which I didn't really get into. I didn't love it. I didn't love the way it was structured. But the TCG Pocket app that just came out within the last couple of weeks is really solid. And it's, I think, solid for a few reasons. One, it's very minimal. And so, like, you're collecting and you're battling. And there's not a lot of other stuff. It's the, the tutorials don't take you 700 hours like I feel like they've done in the past. You're not getting a ton of pop-ups all the time. There's no monetization in your face like there are in a lot of mobile games in general, especially you would imagine Nintendo is going to be like monetizing out the ass. There is monetization, but it's really not bad. So I'm really enjoying this. And the really nice thing about it is if you wanted to, you could probably spend less than 5 minutes a day on this game and be right up there with everybody else. If you want to, you can also do a bunch of battles and just grind out XP and everything. And you could just do that all day long too if you wanted to, because there's really, with a very few exceptions, there's no limit to how many battles against other people or the computer that you can do. So I do like it. I don't like the fact that there are so many cards that I don't recognize because, I don't know, I refuse to acknowledge anything past the original 52, even though I've played all the other Pokemon games and everything. I just, I can still hate it. But there's a very simple collection system. If you're just playing as a free member, whatever, you get to open. You get to open 2 packs a day, and then it does some really cool animations to slot it into your existing inventory and everything. There's a very smooth interface for it. It gives you the illusion of choice, which isn't really there, but that's okay because it's still fun opening the packs. The thing I really love about this, as someone who is a bit OCD and paranoid about my stuff getting messed up, is that I don't ever have to worry about like accidentally bending a card when I open the pack, or I scuffed it along the table to show it to somebody and the part of the back turned white and now it's not worth anything anymore. Like, it's just fun that I have these cards that I like to look at my collection, but I don't have to ever think about the fact of messing up the cards or losing one or getting them stolen out of my backpack at recess or something. The battle system is pretty good. There is you can build your deck, and there's an auto build, which does okay. It's not amazing, but you can choose what kind of Pokemon you want to go in and what kind of cards you want to go into it, and it'll build a deck pretty decently for beginners. It'll build a pretty decent deck with the existing cards you have that fit the criteria you've picked, and also just kind of shape up that deck so you can go into a battle. There's a lot of things that are to be desired with that auto build, but if you want to build your deck entirely yourself, then you can do that as well, and it works out great. There are 2 different kinds of battles within the game. There's lots of different kinds, but within that, there's 2 main kinds. One is to battle other real players, other people playing the game, and then the other is to battle AI, essentially. And a lot of that is like a tutorial. You battle against these decks, and you can learn how to build decks that go against them well and combat them and kind of hone your skills. within that auto or within the AI deck, there is also the opportunity to do an auto battle, which I don't typically prefer if I'm actually engaging in the battle. But honestly, I'm going to be real with you. Sometimes I'll be sitting here working and I'm just like, I have my phone just like set up here in front of me and I just like tap next battle auto and just like kind of let it do its thing. Just to farm XP a little bit. I haven't done that a lot, but I have done that. And then playing against other players is good. The one thing I'll say about playing against other players, they actually, the first time you ever go into a battle against another player, they ask you if you want to do, if you're like a new player or like an inexperienced player, you know, to the card game, or if you know what you're doing, basically. And once you pick that, you never really get to pick that option again, unless it's hidden in the settings somewhere I can't find. So, of course, the first time I went in, I selected entry level, and I go in, and the first like 5 matches I play are against people who very clearly are not new at Pokemon battling. So I hope eventually they add in some sort of system that actually ranks you a little bit. I don't need to win every match, but I'd prefer not to get blown out on, you know, the first 5 turns would be preferable. So I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm enjoying it. It's got like everything in the app seems to work right now, which is really good. There's the opportunity that's going to be coming in the future for being able to actually trade cards with other people, which I think is going to be a ton of fun. Like, you know, Dustin, Brandon, and I sit down and we all have cards that we're missing that everybody else has multiples of. Great, we can just trade them. There's also the potential of being able to trade with random people online. And there's tons of opportunities to make extra XP, to be able to build up a currency that you don't have to pay for, anything you can pay for, but you don't have to pay for, to be able to open more packs in a day. Which of course that's the most enjoyable part about Pokemon cards to me, is opening the packs, right? To see what you got. So I'm having a lot of fun with it. A couple other little things. The art on a lot of these cards is amazing. There are actually cards that are like art cards that if they're a super special one, you could actually like long press them on your phone and you go into like a world that like shows you a whole mural and everything. That's pretty cool. It's pretty rare to have that on a card, but when you do have one of those, it's pretty neat. And then the other thing is just that finding the rhythm of these decks and finding out cards that are too, like, there's a couple people I face that I'm like, wow, that's a really powerful deck. And the fact that you can do that is insane to me. But there's also not really anything that seems unmatchable if you've got cards that are similar in strength to them. So it's pretty well balanced. I mean, Pokemon's been out for 25 years now, maybe a little more than that. So, of course, they've balanced out a lot of that game, but it's interesting to see the different decks people are running and stuff like that. So
cool.
Sorry, Brandon, I stole everything from you.
No, yeah, you're good. Gambling's fun, and that's kind of what this is. So spinning around the decks is super satisfying. I have the not this year's iPhone, but last year's iPhone. I don't know what all features are available on all other iPhones, but it looks great. I could play it at 60 hertz. I have the haptics for when I spin the cards around, and it's super fucking satisfying. You like swipe your finger across, and it like unevenly cuts, like you're ripping it uneven, and then the cards pop out. It's just super satisfying. All the sounds are right. The game plays really well. And that's what I want to take away from this whole conversation for me, is that like it just plays well. It looks good and it plays good. And it's not a lot of fluff. I do agree with Ben generally that the microtransactions aren't really in your face, but I'd be willing to bet that they've made like tens of millions of dollars even in the past couple weeks on people buying cards. Which is crazy. So
you can't buy like specific cards, but you can buy access to be able to unlock
what's the
new
monetization
packs.
models, I guess? You said you can get extra packs or
yeah
something?
yeah so pretty much it just enables you to keep gambling. So instead of having to wait, you can buy gold, which shortens the amount of time you get between packs.
Okay.
Let me look here in the app. Okay, so premium, the options for using premium currency are just some accessories, some different skins for your stuff. If you want to buy Poke Gold, it actually enables you to unlock packs earlier. To see how this is structured, the highest one is $10. It's 50 Poke Gold, which will allow you to do, quite a bit of opening extra packs.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy some extra accessories. Here we've got some different skins that you can buy with Poke Gold, and then you can just buy Poke Gold straight up. They also have a $10 a month subscription that unlocks some extra events and unlocks some extra cosmetics. But the biggest thing it does is allows you to open one extra pack a day.
Okay.
It's $10 a month. If you're hardcore into it,
yeah.
maybe it's worth it to you. For me, it's not. It's not something I need to pay for.
Yeah.
They do have a 2-week free trial of it, which of course I took advantage of and canceled it, before the 2 weeks was up, so I didn't get charged. But I don't think there's anything in there that like you're ever going to feel like I have to have this to do that. But if you're really an enthusiast and $10 isn't that much to you, then I actually think it's pretty fair. It's pretty reasonable.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds fair.
I will make fun of you if you do it.
Yeah. I'm refusing to do it, but I feel like it's very fair. And 2 packs a day is just enough to be satisfying, just to like pop in, check it out. I will say what's nice about this game is you could come at it from that point of view to where you're just collecting the cards and it's fun. You could see your friends' cards and you could put them in binders and like, organize them and shit.
Nice.
And that's kind of fun. But I personally have played like hours of battles with real people, like hours. Many hours at this point. I've spent a lot of my time in between doing other things just sitting there for like 30 minutes battling people. So
At work?
never. I would never do that.
No, you would never do that.
I would never do that.
Never.
I would never do that.
Wow.
Ever. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I feel like there is, from my understanding of the game itself, there's a lot of power creep. So I think as time goes on, it will become more difficult. And I am already seeing a lot of people online doing the thing they do and like giving perfect meta decks. I don't think there is necessarily like a win all scenario type of thing going on right now, but I feel like there might need to be some balancing. But I've had a ton of fun as someone who did not play the Pokemon card game, who only collected the cards back in the day because he liked the cards. This is very fun for me because I'm a big fan of card games in general, in the video game format, not necessarily like in real life. Like I really liked Gwent. I like the Gwent in Witcher better than I like the Gwent game.
Really? Okay.
Anyway, because it was simpler, but like also complex. Anyway, but yeah, I think this game's sick. And it's really just like a fun thing. I'm not really into things that make you like check in once or twice a day, but this is a little bit more than that. And I'm having a lot of fun with it because I also like Pokemon a lot. So
yeah, Pokemon's cool. Yeah, Dustin, you're just collecting cards right now. How are you enjoying it?
Yeah, I really do want to play the battles because I know that Brandon and Ben have been having so much fun. It's the barrier of I don't know how to play, so I need to sit down and just be dedicated to learn for a minute, which I'm sure will literally be just a few minutes.
Yeah, it's super easy to play this game.
So
yeah.
I haven't done that yet. I really like this feature too, where I think it's called a Wonder Pick, and
yes, yeah.
Basically, you can see what your friends' packs and other random people, what they've recently opened. So you'll see their, totally average, nothing good pack. But sometimes you'll see someone that's like, oh, they pulled a nice card. So you do a Wonder Pick, which has its own currency, and it will take those 5 cards and shuffle them, and you pick one random one. Well, today I did Brandon's Wonder Pack because I noticed he got this Snorlax, and I got it. So I texted Brandon. I'm like, hey, thanks for that Wonder Pick because I got that Snorlax from it. So just a fun little thing. Normally I don't get the cool card, but sometimes you do. So
damn,
1 in 5 chance.
Yeah, and it recharges every day too. That's another thing that recharges. So
have you guys seen the God packs?
Dude, I've seen some on Twitter. It's insane, bro. I would shit a brick.
Dude, so the God Pack thing, at least in One Piece TCG, is real. Like, there's this new pack out called One Piece The Best, and it's like reprints of old cards. There are packs that people are getting that has every manga card. And I've told you guys about the manga card. Those are the rarest.
Yeah.
Some of them worth thousands of dollars. Just opening a pack, all manga cards. So when I saw that there were God Packs in Pokemon, I was like, oh man, I would lose it if I open one of those, but I probably never will.
Right.
So
I don't think those exist in the physical version. I don't think in Pokemon they really exist.
Yeah. Not in Pokemon.
I don't know that for sure. I'm not into that scene as much as I used to be, but
yeah. I'm praying someday I'll open a God Pack in One Piece, but it's unlikely. I spent like $30 on stuff the other day, got nothing. Everyone loves gambling, like Brandon said.
I love it. It's
a little gambling with no money at the other end, just pieces of paper. Fantastic.
Yeah. Are the manga cards, Dustin? Are they just the artwork is from the manga. Actually, is that
So
what it
they
is?
all have their foil cards, but the background is different manga panels of each character, like different iconic moments. And then it has
okay.
an actual Oda manga drawing of the character. But like, dude, sorry for the tangent on One Piece cards, but
No,
the
please.
manga, let's just see on TCG Player, Gear 5 manga. The Gear 5 manga card is $2,177.
Whoa.
So some of them can be very expensive. My uncle, he opens packs as well. He's a GameStop manager, so he like gets credit and he can open packs. He got the Boa Hancock manga card.
Damn.
Wow. You're
That
jealous,
one's
dude.
not quite as I want to say that one's like 700, but
Yeah.
I could never imagine spending $700 on a card. I mean, respect if you're into that and you want to collect it and you've got the cash to do it.
Sure.
I don't think I could spend $100 on a card. Which I do have one card that's worth about 100, which I'm happy about.
What is
a
it?
Nami, dude.
Oh, a Nami
I
one.
got a
Yeah.
Nami card, and it was.
Wow.
I told Holly, I was like, "Hey, go pick a pack at Target," and she picked it, and that was the one that had the good card. So
Nice.
she's my good luck, I guess.
Yeah, nice work. Yeah, this manga card looks awesome. The Gear 5th one.
Yeah,
Damn,
dude.
that's good. Wow.
Yeah,
I
there's
don't need cards in my life. It's dangerous.
dude.
Yeah,
You'll just
it
start
is.
ending up. This is like the 8th show I've shown these on, but like you'll just end up with these small. I just have these laying all over my house when I open them, and I'm like, oh, I got to sort them. I'll just put them here for now. And so there's just like small little decks of shit that I've opened. And
I know. That happened to me with Pokemon cards when they came out. I had like a ton. Man, those are sick. I at least sold them all, so that was good. I had Magic cards. I think we have some somewhere, but yeah, card games can be dangerous if you get into them.
This is the first time I've played or been into a physical card game, which I'm not even playing. I'm just collecting as an adult with disposable income, and I've gotten better over the last. Well, I just told you guys I spent like $30 the other day, but dude, Brett. Okay, sorry for the tangent. I know there's people that are annoyed.
Go.
They sell these like devil fruit collections that are card deck holders, and they have a gear or they have the gum fruit, right?
Mhm.
And so they have that, and they just released the Ace flame fruit
Ooh.
as one. So I had to get
That's
that.
nice.
It's like I wanted the collection of because
Do
that's
you have
cool.
it
It's like a little
nearby?
standee, that you can.
You have it nearby?
I might have the gum one fruit around here somewhere. The flame one's downstairs though.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah,
that's
I
fine.
don't know where it is, but they're cool.
Nice. Let's see here. Neo JD wrote in. Guys, what decks we running? Anything other than Mewtwo, Pikachu, and Lapras?
I have like a very, very strong fighting deck right now that I have him a champ in.
Okay.
For 3 energy, he can do 120 attack or something like that. So usually ones that are that high number are like 4. So I feel like if I get a good roll right out the gate and I get some draw 2s and some pokey cards to get like some extra cards and get a couple good rolls. I've had some ones within like the first, I don't know, 5 or 6 turns. I'm slotting that guy into the fucking attack stage. And I've had people concede when I do that. They're just like,
Wow.
like nothing is more makes me feel better in a match than when I'm like stacking the back line. Like I'll pop my Onyx in the front because it takes a while. He needs a lot of energy to like attack, right? But like he's a sponge, and then I'm just like building my back deck up. He's kind of like he takes the hit, and as soon as
He tanks him.
he's dead, I get the fucking action going. So I got a pretty strong fighting deck right now, and I have a pretty strong lightning deck as well. A lot of the legendary birds, like I'm seeing a lot of really good players with the legendary bird, specifically water deck with Articuno. Is really good. I think it's a 4 energy attack, but it not only does 80 damage to the main stage fighter, but it does residual damage to the back row as well, which is really big. I faced a Dragonite deck today, a psychic or maybe a lightning normal deck, lightning water Dragonite deck that was pretty cool today. So, but mostly for me, it's the fighting and the lightning, because I have 2. I have an EX Pikachu and I have the full illustration Pikachu. So
Okay, nice. What about you, Ben?
Yeah, so I would prefer to actually run a fighting deck, but I don't have the cards to build it out right now. My main deck that I use most of the time is a lightning deck with the Pikachu EX full art card, the one that you could like hard press on and it goes into the, the cool background in the world. And it's really nice because I know it's like partially meta right now. But the good thing about it is if you pull that Pikachu EX within the first 2 turns, you probably are going to do pretty well unless somebody else pulls, a Lapras or something in the first couple turns. Although if they're a Lapras, they've also got the weakness to the electricity. But the Pikachu card with only 2 energy is able to do 30 damage for each lightning Pokemon they have on your bench. So my deck is mostly built out of lightning cards and then supporter cards. I don't really have any other like colorless Pokemon in there. So I pretty much am always, by the time I get that out there, I pretty much always have 3 lightning in the backfield. And so I'm doing 90 off the rip without much difficulty. And I also have a card that enables you to have 10 extra damage for that turn. So then if you're facing, especially with the Lapras deck being so popular right now, if you're facing that and you have a weakness against it, you're knocking them out in each card out in 1 to 2 turns right off the rip. So it's a good deck. I wish it wasn't like meta deck because people know how to combat it to some extent now. But the one thing that does change up the gameplay quite a bit, even if you have a meta deck, if you don't get those cards pulled in time to get them set up, you're going to be beat up pretty quick. So for instance, even though that Pikachu EX only needs 2 energy to basically do 90 damage right off the rip, if you don't get it till your 3rd turn or something, then you got to wait 2 more turns to put enough energy on it to be able to really use it. And by that point, they may already have the points they need. So one other thing about the fighting system that I do like, this is pretty common, but it does have the ability, in addition to facing players you've never met before, you can go in and like set up a room. So I go in and type in a stupid code and then tell my kid to use the same stupid code, and it's instantly matching us to be able to play against each other. So the nice thing is you can battle against your friends with relative ease, which again isn't necessarily a new thing or a unusual thing, but it's nice that it's there.
Nice. Alrighty, this is from Kazdin Risk. Hey, Summonussies, I've been playing Pokemon TCG Pocket and have been loving it. As a huge fan of Marvel Snap and Pokemon, it's a near perfect mobile game in my opinion. I just pulled the full 3D art Charizard, and it had a bit of that similar feeling to pulling a rare illustration card in real life. What do you love about it, and what do you want to see out of it in the future updates to keep you coming back? Cheers, and remember, the illusion of choice is a lie. The packs are all the same. Okay, so we kind of talked about what you guys loved about it or what you're enjoying about it. So what do you guys want to see from it in the future, I should say?
I don't know. I mentioned earlier about having a little bit better ranking system for the battles. I think that would be good, but I also know that it can be easily manipulated. People can intentionally tank battles so they get better rankings or worse rankings so that they can win more battles. So I don't know. I think there's something there, but I'm not really sure what it is because that's not my specialty. I don't know, right. But I know that somebody else knows. The other thing is that I know they're adding pretty quickly here, maybe early next month, some new expansions into it. I'm excited about that to be able to get more cards and stuff. I'm a little man, I wish I can finish out this collection before then, but that's unlikely. Like right now, when I'm pulling packs, I've got so many cards that I'm very rarely getting one that I don't have already. Maybe 1 in 5, I'm pulling something with a new card or 2 new cards, maybe. But yeah, so to have a new pack will just be a nice little adrenaline rush, I guess, a new expansion. But other than that, feature-wise, I don't know. I can't think of much.
Okay. Anything for you, Brandon?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same boat. I'm excited for more packs. I wasn't exactly sure. I thought maybe they're coming in January, but
maybe it is January. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think everything they've done is great. I don't have much more that I would add to it, to be honest with you. Trading is going to be cool, but that's already on the way. So
yeah.
More packs is good. More Pokemon's good. Keep on keeping on. I kind of like the way it is.
Yeah. Cool. All right, this is from Stage Geek. Hey guys, I've been playing TCGP. I played the TCG online for a long time before they shut it down. This new version, Pocket, is interesting. At first glance, it seems more streamlined and fast-paced, meaning no more energy cards, 20-card deck instead of 60. Running out of cards is not a loss, etc., but it also feels limited. I feel like I keep seeing the same 2 to 3 decks being used, with very little strategic variety, meaning the deck is only ever trying to do one specific thing. My question might not apply to you guys, but here it is. Have you guys played standard TCG, and how does this new version compare? So have any of you played the original one, TCG?
Yeah, I did, but it was early, probably within the first year that it was out. So it's been a little while since I played it. And I don't remember some of my specific gripes, but when this person says a few of those things, that the decks were bigger, running out of cards was a loss. I do remember that stuff. So I definitely know that there's a reason I quit playing it. And I don't remember exactly what that reason was, but I don't think it was because I was not interested in Pokemon, because I've always been interested in Pokemon. So the fact that this one, so immediately I'm like in love with it, whereas that definitely wasn't the case before. I'm not saying I'm going to play it for years every day, but I don't see myself burning out on it as quickly as I did the last game.
Right.
Yeah. I never played the other one. Based off what it's saying, I could see how a 60 card deck and some of the things they mentioned would be interesting, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Simpler, sometimes good.
Yeah, sure.
It is so nice that it's pick up and play, and it is really nice that there's no energy cards. You just pick what energy you want your deck to have. You get one every turn that you can put somewhere. Like it's nice that it's so streamlined and simple.
Yeah, totally. All right. Let's talk about our last game on here. Ben, Iron Meat. Talk to us about this.
As I mentioned to you, I don't have a ton to say about this game. Not because it isn't really good, but because it's a pretty simple game. And let me see here. I'm not through this game yet. For some reason, Steam says I've only played 32 minutes. Maybe it's because I played offline. I don't know. I played on my Steam Deck for a couple hours a couple weeks ago. And then I played only probably like 30 minutes on my computer. But essentially, it's a really fast-paced run and gun shooter that is very reminiscent of Contra.
Oh, I'll say. It looks a lot like Contra.
Yeah, it's very, very much Contra. The premise of the game, and there isn't a lot of story in here except for through like environmental stuff, is that the world is overrun by an entity or entities called the Meat, which I know Brandon has a lot of familiarity with that. That's a penis joke. But essentially, I mean, you're running through, you're able to jump, you're able to squat, you're able to shoot diagonally or straight down or straight up. You collect power-ups for different types of weapons, and it's hell. Like you're constantly, it's not quite like a bullet hell game, I wouldn't say. You don't have stuff constantly coming at you, right. But there definitely is the very real reality that you constantly have to do something, whether it's jump over a hazard in the way, or whether it's combat a bunch of enemies coming at you, or you've got stuff flying over ahead of you, shooting down at you. There's a lot of stuff there. The soundtrack's really cool. They have both a like modern version, and you can actually go in and change it to be retro sounds. I don't know why. I wish they would have just stuck with one or the other, because they're both very good. And when I have to choose one or the other, I'm like, well, I like them both. Like I like them both. So I don't. That's kind of about what I have to say about it, unless you guys have questions. But I'm having a lot of fun with it. There's a ton of unlocks in it. The only problem is it doesn't really tell you how to unlock anything. It's just like sometimes you unlock something, a new skin or a new piece. There's nothing progression-wise that you upgrade or anything like that. Oh, one more thing. You do get like a fair amount of lives. Obviously, if you're on like the extreme difficulty, you get less lives. But as you collect points and everything, which are mostly unseen, you get more lives. And the reason, I think, is really because you die so much. You die a fair amount. The penalty for that, though, is that whatever gun you have, whatever your upgraded gun is, you lose it. So you go back to the pea shooter whenever you die, and you're still in the same point in the level that you were at, but you no longer have the gun that you have. So it's it's not a roguelike by any sense, but it definitely has a little bit of a piece of that as well. I like it. It's not I don't think it's a very expensive game. I think it's $15 or $16, and it's a blast. It really is. It's not overly complicated, but it's also not. It's very good. I guess I'll say for what it is. Yeah,
it looks really good. Listeners, it's pretty much a Contra game or like a Metal Slug game. If you like those kind of running gun shooting, you die in one hit kind of games.
Yeah,
lose your guns like Ben's saying. But yeah, it looks really cool, Ben. I might have to check this out. As someone who loved Contra and Metal Slug, looks pretty good, man. Looks
and
awesome.
It ran. I mean, I'm sure it's on every platform. I think I played it on Steam Deck predominantly, and there's not a lot to it, right? But it runs like a dream. Sometimes with these bullet hell type games where you get a lot of stuff on the screen at the same time, it'll lag on the Steam Deck a little bit.
Yeah,
I was running it in uncapped, max frame rate, and it was cruising right along. So it's a great handheld game. It seems like.
Yeah, looks awesome. Cool. Yeah, simplistic but really fun.
Mm-hmm.
All right, dudes. Let's end the episode with some questions from the audience. If you want to write into this show, I post a thread up every Saturday, usually the early afternoon on Pacific time for this show, asking for your submissions. We do that for all of our shows on different days. So if you want to submit any questions or write-ins for any of our shows, keep an eye out on our Patreon at Last Stand Media. All right, this is from eating a salad with a Bob Barker microphone length fork. Howdy, B-boys. In my teens and early 20s, I was an avid concert goer. But for the reasons I'm not entirely sure about, I haven't been to a show in about 8 years now. I plan to end this streak in February to see Aborted, Ingested, Peeling Flesh, and Stabbing. The lineup is just too good for me to shrug off. Sound like grindcore bands.
Mm-hmm.
So my two questions. Last show you went to. Favorite show you've been to. Pretty sure my last show was Periphery. And my favorites has to be tied between seeing Between the Buried and Me play Colors, Straight Through, and Parallax 2 straight through shortly after the release. Thanks and keep up the great work. Fun story. I got to go backstage and meet those guys one time. Because when I was a hairdresser, Between the Buried and Me, when I was a hairdresser, one of my coworkers was friends with this band called Russian Circles, and they were playing with them. So I got to go back there. They're all very nice guys. But yeah, Between the Buried and Me, awesome band. Highly recommend them. Well, yeah, let's see here. Last show you guys went to. Dustin, let's start with you. You still go to shows pretty frequently.
Yeah, I still do pretty often. I was actually just at a show last Friday. Saw Iron Maiden here in Pittsburgh, and it was great. It was fantastic. They have a lot of different fun things that go on stage. A little less than last time I saw them. Last time, the lead singer Bruce had like flamethrowers that he used during one song.
That was awesome.
That was super cool. So not as much of that this time, but it was cool because they specifically played a lot of songs from the album Somewhere in Time, which they normally don't. So it was a great show. I was going to go see them again actually tomorrow, but ended up deciding that it probably wasn't a good time to do that. So, but yeah, that was the last show I went to.
Ooh.
And then I guess I'll just make this quick and easy. Favorite show I've been to is also Iron Maiden. Not this last time, though. It was the time before when I went in DC. If you're a member of the Iron Maiden fan club, you can enter a drawing to get to be in the arena first if you have a floor ticket. So it's called First to the Barrier. And so my dad won the First to the Barrier raffle or whatever. So we got to go right in. And it was the only time in my life at an arena concert there was one person in front of me and then the stage. So we were right up front, and it was amazing. It was the best show I've ever been to. I caught their one guitar player, Dave Murray, threw out his wristband. I caught it. It was disgustingly wet with sweat, which was a little gross, but also, I don't know, maybe I kind of liked it a little bit.
Yeah.
And so downstairs, you know how they have like those plastic boxes that you put a baseball in? Like, look at this. I caught this at a game, or this was the winning ball or whatever. I got one of those, but I put the wristband in it. So it's like encased in a box on display.
Damn.
It's like it's going to be a family heirloom from now on. This Dave Murray's wristband from Iron Maiden. So definitely, I mean, kind of boring to say both in the same answer, but it's
that's cool. No, that's great. Let's see, Brandon, what was the last show you went to?
So what was it, like maybe towards the beginning of the year? I went to see Death Cab for Cutie.
Ooh.
It was the 10 with Dustin and Holly. It was the 10-year anniversary of Transatlanticism and the Postal Service album.
I think 20.
Was it 20?
I'm pretty sure it's 20.
Yeah, I think
I'm
it's
pretty sure it was
20.
20, and I'm pretty sure that I was at the tour. I was at the tour for when that album came out.
No, it's not 20, is it? Okay. Well, that show was amazing. It was so fucking good. I only cried a little bit. Only a little bit, but it was really good. It was at the Peterson Event Center, which was really cool. We had good seats, and we got to sit down, which was kind of cool. And at my current body, it was nice to actually sit down for a lengthier show. So that was cool. And I would say another deep dive. I've been to a lot of shows. Most of the shows I've been to with Dustin, actually. In 2012, we went to a Reliant K, Hello Goodbye, and William Beckett show at
And our friend Mike Baines.
Yeah.
Also
Yeah.
played.
And it was fucking awesome.
Where was that?
Altar
think-
Bar.
I was
Which is-
there.
Which
I was
is
at that show.
dude, no way.
I was 100%
bro.
at that show.
No fucking way. Dude, it was so good. And yeah, it was just, that was the year we graduated high school. And so it was just like a really cool point in time. And I was so into Reliant K and so into Hello Goodbye. And I don't know who the fuck William Beckett is, but he did fine. He just had really tight pants, I remember.
Yeah.
But that was
Bulge
the style.
City.
That was the style.
Style at the time.
but
That's right.
yeah, that was my favorite show of all time, just because it's like the bands were very nostalgic for. Well, they're really nostalgic for me now. And the show was just so fucking bitchin'. And it was awesome. The venue was really cool.
That's sick. Ben, last show you went to?
Yeah. I used to go to shows all the time. Like when I was in high school and college, I was usually at least one show a week, if not multiple. And I played shows and stuff too. But the last show I went to, I've slowed down. I pretty much only go to see
What did you
bands that
play?
I played synthesizer, keyboard.
Oh,
some
cool. I
vocals.
didn't know that.
Yeah. The last show I went to was, I think, actually last week. Was it last week? I think it was. I saw August Burns Red. That's who I went to see. They were with A Day to Remember and a band called Stand Atlantic, which I've seen A Day to Remember before. And Stand Atlantic I'd never heard of. They're from Australia.
Is that the pop punk band with the girl singer?
Yeah.
Okay, I've listened to them. Yeah.
They were pretty cool. But I was there to see August Burns Red. I'm such an old man now, though, that I love sitting. Like I used to be in the pit, try to get to the front, messing people up, messing myself up. I would really mess myself up now if I was in there. But I love sitting in the seats in the balcony or whatever now. It's just so much better. I don't know what I was ever thinking in the past, but so that's the last show I was at. And I've been to a few shows this year that have been really good. That was I think that's the most, that's gotta be the most recent. That was last week. My favorite show, man, I've got so many favorite shows. I can't even begin to like figure them out, but because Dustin reminded me of the Iron Maiden show the last time they were in Pittsburgh, I was going to go this past one and some things changed and I wasn't able to, but it was a really good show. That was the first time I had ever seen them and I've loved them forever. Not to the degree that the Furman family is into them, but my dad is a huge 80s metal guy. And I've just, as long as I can remember, I've heard Iron Maiden played in my life. And, just the theatrics and everything were insane. And that, like a month before that, I saw Megadeth, and that was really cool too, because Megadeth was like another mainstay when I was a kid. So yeah, I love metal in general. I like a lot of stuff, but I really like metal.
Yeah. Like you, Ben, like when I was in high school and early college, I used to go to shows all the time.
Back when shows were $10.
Yeah. Like growing up in Orange County, I was like in the hardcore scene, like in the early 2000s. So a lot of those awesome bands. I've been to a lot of sick metal shows. I've seen Nile, Mastodon, a lot of really cool guys like that. I think some of my favorite shows would have to be, I saw Paul McCartney, I think in 2001, and it was sick because my whole family went. It was just awesome. Like seeing my dad stoked, and I was like, dude, this rules. It was so cool. And he sounded awesome at the time. So it was cool. Just seeing a Beatle play music was awesome. And I think maybe 2003, one of my favorite concerts was I saw AFI like right after Sing the Sorrow came out.
Oh,
so it was like a really good time.
That sounds
it was really good.
bro.
I think I saw them on that tour too.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude, that
it was
sounds
really
so
good.
fucking awesome, man.
So it was awesome. Last show I went to, I think Dream Car, like 8 years ago, maybe. It's been so long, dude. I haven't been to a show in so long, man. I need to go again. But yeah, it's been a while. Cool. Great question. Thank you. Eating salad with a Bob Barker microphone length fork.
That's a great name.
Okay. That is a great name.
That's got to be a Snark Tank crossover too.
It's got to be. We get those occasionally, yeah. All right. This is the Uncharted Wolf. What's up, Summoners? Are any of you guys going to check out Mario and Luigi Brothership? It's gotten mixed reviews, including a scathing 5 out of 10 from IGN. And I'm wondering if any of the LSM crew would be into it. I'll say I'm curious about it. It's just coming out at a bad time. Like, I'm playing Infinite Wealth right now, and Dragon Quest is coming out this month also, or like this week actually. So I can't really take on more RPGs right now, even though I do host a Nintendo podcast. Kicking that game to the side for now. I'll get to it sometime. No real rush for me since I haven't played any of the Mario and Luigi games, and I did play Thousand Year Door already this year, so I'm not fiending for it right now. But what about you guys? Are any of you interested in this?
No.
I'm interested just because it's Mario, but it's not something I'm in a rush to get to for a variety of reasons. So yeah, maybe eventually, but not right now.
Yeah. Dustin's hard out.
Yeah.
Brandon, do you even play on Switch? I don't know. Do you have one?
I have one, unfortunately.
Okay.
I'm like a Nintendo hater though. So
okay.
No, I will not be playing this gladly.
There you go. Sorry, Uncharted Wolf. That's a no right now from everybody.
That's a hard no, buddy.
Brandon would not have been playing this if it was a 10 either.
Literally,
Yeah.
yeah. I wouldn't. No.
So you didn't play any of the new Zelda games or anything?
No, I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just didn't like them.
He just
Gotcha.
hates Nintendo.
I liked them.
You got bored.
I got bored.
That's fair. All right. This is from Loom Doom. Hey, Summoners. This one is for Brad. If President-elect Trump slaps a tariff on all foreign imports, how much are you willing to pay for Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3? Or are you willing to sacrifice it all to buy an imported copy from your local drug dealer? Honest answers only. Cheers and have a good rest of your show. So we'll apply this to all of us because we all like Final Fantasy VII. I don't know. I'm paying though. Whatever they're charging, I'm paying. You charging $300? I'll pay it begrudgingly, but I would do it.
Wouldn't the copy of Final Fantasy just have to be produced in the U.S. though for it to not have the tariff? Could they just print them in the U.S.?
Well, just a hypothetical here, Brandon.
Anyway, I wouldn't pay any money for Final Fantasy.
We know.
So
no Tifa though for you.
See, that's the hard part.
He consumes Tifa through the internet anyway, not through games.
Have you seen Scarlet?
Where's the Tifa standalone game? It's called Stellar Blade.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
One of those mods there will be.
I'm saying so many blasphemous things. Please, somebody else talk.
Yeah, hold on. Let's see. I'm going to see what
there is a Tifa mod for Stellar Blade.
I want to see what Brandon thinks of this. Hold on. So you like Tifa.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious what you think about... Oh, God damn it. This character. So in a second. But Dustin, let's go to you real quick, though. How much would you pay?
Okay, I'm trying to take the question. You know, he said honest answers only. For part 3, I could see myself spending like maybe double and be like, all right, I can do it. So that'd be like, what, $140?
Yeah.
I could see myself doing that. But I don't know. It gets to a point after that I would have to be like, man, this is just not realistic. Like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
So we'll say double price.
Okay. Ben?
For one of my favorite games of all time, being the original Final Fantasy VII, and loving the remake so much at this point, I would also say probably double. But the reality is that I would probably just wait. If it was really that much more, I would probably wait to play it, or offer to split the cost with Dustin and then take turns like the old days.
Yeah.
Something I'd think if it was like insane, I'd probably do something like that, but I don't really think that's a future we're looking at, because people figure out how to get around that kind of stuff all the time, and I'm not even really sure. Whatever. Politics aside, I don't really even think that's possible, that it would be that much insanely more expensive, but I'm also not terribly opposed if it was $500 to pirate it. Who cares at that point?
Yeah.
If it's that expensive.
Well, let's just say you couldn't. The only way you could do
pirate it?
You couldn't. The only way you could do is by spending the cash.
Yeah, I'd say I'd pay double
Okay.
without really, like, I assume if that's the case, every game's going to be double, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to, like that's the logical assumption if we're playing this straight. So at that point, it's just like, well, this is what games cost. So yeah.
Yeah. Listeners and viewers, I sent Brandon a picture of Scarlet. I was curious what he would think about her.
Well, I've done some pretty extensive research here in the past couple of minutes, and I can say that I'm more of a Final Fantasy fan than I was a couple of minutes ago. I can say that with confidence.
So you're down for the double price now?
I'd pay $30. That's how much I'd be willing to pay.
You didn't Scarlet before this just now?
No, I've never seen this character.
Oh, okay.
No. She seems like she has lovely character development.
Yes.
Very good job.
All right. This is from 15 to 15.4. Anyone have this experience? Pre-order the Pro, not realizing it needs to be signed for you, signed for, and you live alone and you can't be there to sign for it. Well, good luck. Your console will not arrive and you cannot change delivery options. I spent about 2 hours on the phone with UPS and SIE, but mostly UPS, and both entities sent me to online portals that rerouted to the original order / tracking screen. Don't pre-order unless you're home all the time. Also, is it normal for an adult to be home between 7 and 3 on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday if you have a 9 to 5? So yeah, for the Pro, you had to sign for a lot of it. Like I had to sign for it. Have you guys ever been in that situation though, where it's like, oh, I'm gonna have to sign for this, but I'm not home. Yeah, there's nothing I can do about it.
In that scenario, I wholeheartedly would have just taken the day off it was coming.
Yeah.
That's my like only option, really.
Right.
Because this person's right. Like for a normal, whatever, for like you go to the job at typical business hours, it doesn't really work out. It's kind of the only option I usually had when something like this happened. Unless I got it shipped to like, I don't know, my fucking grandma's house or something.
Yeah, I've definitely been in this situation with lots of different things. And, depending on the place I've been in life or whatever, I've usually been able to be home if needed. But oftentimes first of all, I hate this whole, like, we only do things during business hours, because like even banks are open from like 8 to 4. When are people who have money to put in the bank supposed to go to the bank if they're at work when the bank's open? Anyway. But generally, I have tried this. It's worked more than it's not. I will leave a note, especially after COVID, by the way. I will leave a note on the door that says, please leave this package, and maybe tell them where to put it or whatever, with my signature. Because and most of them will do it because they don't really care. The delivery drivers don't actually care. If they have something to prove that you gave permission, they're cool with it. They'll sign for it, whatever. But the reality is sometimes drivers will come and not even knock on the door. They'll just like kind of walk up and stick the stick. Like I have a doorbell camera. I literally see drivers, like even my mail delivery person will like come up and stick a sticker on the door that they had written before they got out of the truck. I can't compete with that,
That's
like
ridiculous.
So I will leave a note on the door if I know a package is coming, even if I don't know for sure that it needs signed, just saying, please leave this. And most of the time, all they want is that deniability. Oh, they said I could leave it, so they're good with that. So try that next time you're in this situation. This situation sucks, but I found it works more often than not.
Yeah, that's a good strat. Dustin, do you have any advice for that, or you ever been in this situation?
Yeah, if you have someone nearby that will be at home, or family member that you can have it sent to their house instead. That's an option. I think some of them, I don't know. I guess probably depends on the shipper. If you can send it to a pickup location, sometimes that helps. I know you wouldn't be able to do this with UPS, but at one point I ordered an Apple Watch. I think it was when I got actually my current one that I have years ago. I was leaving to go to my parents' house, and I thought I probably could have Holly's parents come and pick this up off my porch because I don't think it was for signing. But I actually went to the post office and had them intercept it so I could take it with me. So I was, I probably annoyed them deeply, but so I don't know if that would help for a PS5 Pro, but I like Ben's option as well. Cause dude, I can't stand that. There's times where I know I've been home and they stick that thing and it's like, dude, you didn't even try. So I might even need to do that coming up when my PS5 Pro comes in, I don't know, a little over a week now.
Dustin, I have, you said you couldn't do that with UPS. I literally one time, I can't remember what it was for. I think it was for something business related, actually. I drove to the UPS warehouse in Zelienople and knocked on the door and asked like somebody like, hey, I was there. But I need this today. And it was like, I think it was something for the business. And they gave it to me. Now, granted, they're not always there, like maybe you don't get there in time, but that's the last ditch. That's the desperation opportunity right there.
Right.
Yeah. All right, boys. Final question. This is from Bobby Barrier. Sup, Saga-ishus Summoners. Have y'all tried the Astrobot speedrun levels that have been releasing every Thursday? I've been finding much enjoyment competing with my brothers to get the best time. I also appreciate how PlayStation automatically sends a message to your friends after you beat their time. Thanks, and hope you're all having a great day. All right, Astrobot.
Yeah,
and
I actually just played these.
Oh, okay. Are they brand new levels, or are they kind of like reworked existing levels?
They are brand new layouts for levels, but they are based on existing levels.
Okay.
But I just went through and played all the ones that are available. I think it took me 20-ish minutes, maybe. I told myself when I started it that I was just going through to play it and unlock the new bots, but I don't need to get into a competition with one of my friends on the list to try to see if I can beat them. I'm sure I would have a lot of fun doing that, but I can't get invested right now in something like that when I'm playing Metaphor. So, but they're really fun. I really enjoyed it. I like the new bots. So I think there's still one more level, one or two, still to be released. But yeah, it's a nice little bonus afterwards for free, of course.
Yeah. Ben, have you been playing at all?
No, so I popped the platinum on this game and immediately shut it off. Back whenever that was. And I want to play these. I'm going to wait till all of them are out. Maybe they are all out now. I don't know, but I'm gonna do that and then do them all. Work through them all. But I did have so much fun with these when the last Astrobot game was out, and there was very much that like sense of competition. Like, oh, this person got better than me. I can beat that. And I think at one point, I'm sure I don't need more, but at one point I did. Of all of my PSN friends, I did have the best times on every level, and I'm pretty sure that got wiped out. But that was my goal, is to at one point have better times than everybody else. So I'll do them eventually. I really like that game, and I like those speed runs from the last game. So I'm sure this will not be any different than that.
Nice. Brandon, what about you?
Yeah, I kind of just stagnated quite a bit on this game. I'm really, really close to the end. I'm on the last bit of worlds, but for that reason, I just kind of put it down and haven't tried the new content. I will come back to it at some point, but I don't know that I'm really itching to even do the speedrun levels if I don't have to do it to get the platinum. I'm not really a platformer guy, and I kind of suck at them, and that's kind of why I like the game. I love the game. I think it's fantastic. I just suck at it, and if I suck at it, I'm not having fun usually. So,
yeah, got it. Makes sense to me. Yeah, I haven't played any of these yet. Like you, Ben, I'd probably wait till they're all out because I don't need to go back quite yet. I got the platinum like you did as well, so I'm good for now. But maybe down the line, yeah, we'll see. All right, dudes, that's it. Another episode of Someone Sign in the books. Ben, Dustin, and Brandon, of course. Thank you for joining me, guys.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, it's great to have you in here finally. Brandon, if the people want to find you, where can they find you?
I'm on the HP podcast, the Handsome Phantom podcast, every week, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. And I'm also at _gloriousginger on Twitter. I'm not very active on there, but you're welcome to follow me. All my info for the show's on there. So
yeah, that's right. Ben, Dustin, anything exciting going on this week for you guys?
Nope.
Not really.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
It's 10 o'clock and I have to work now. Thanks, Brad. Actually, really, thanks, Brandon.
That's Brandon.
Because we had to record late because of Brandon, so I have to work after this. That's okay. It's fine.
I'm going to play Call of Duty after this.
Have fun. Oh, damn. That ain't right. All right. That's it, everybody. Thank you so much for listening and watching. We greatly appreciate it, and we'll see you guys next episode. Take care, and goodbye.
Yeah.
Summon Sign is a product of Last Stand Media and Colin's Last Stand LLC and is proudly recorded in the USA. The show is written and hosted by me, Brad Ellis. The show is produced by Dustin Furman. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. Summon Sign, along with the rest of Last Stand's media shows, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer level on Patreon, our highest tier, and we are grateful for your kind contribution and generosity to our independent endeavor. Thank you.